No crack here, just it's 2:30 in the morning. An early night these days. I'm not partying, I just can't sleep. Tomorrow will be fun.
Trouble sleeping, low mood, stress and feeling anxious can all be signs you should check in with your mental health. For support that can help, use the My Mental Health Plan tool at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSC.
Gregory, welcome back.
You're out of you're out of the routine there.
Out of sight. I forgot the bed.
That's
but
okay.
Daddy, listen to me. I was at the Northwest 10K yesterday.
Were you running or doing?
I was a bit of MC and a bit of late.
Did you run it though?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But you were brought into conversation. Gregolicious. Did you ever hear that before? Gregolicious.
No.
By a Garda.
Oh,
Band
really?
Garda. Gregolicious.
Gregolicious. Okay. Well, we don't. Band Garda is now not the correct thing to say.
Is it not? What do you say now then?
Garda.
Garda, is that it?
Yes.
Thanks for correcting me on that one. Now I know.
You know, it's not the worst thing you've ever said.
No, I said worse. But Gregolicious, that's worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's worse than Fab
No, that's good because it's like Greg and delicious.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right, you like it? Well, Mary Collins, finally, I'll let you go to news, right, from Culdaff, who works in Buchan Community Creche. She's a top chef. We give her a big plug this morning. She's celebrating her birthday. She makes the best curry ever, and happy birthday comes in from all the McCarrans. They must be looking for a curry, I think.
I wouldn't mind the curry off with her. I think I make the best curry ever. But
Oh, no, I think we could have a cook-off. That's what we could do as a challenge, a cook-off sometime.
Cook-off, definitely. You're full of ideas and
Yeah.
very little action.
Oh, yeah.
Are you glad to be back?
You are some boy.
Are you glad to
just
be back?
Jag that in there. I am so delighted to be back.
Yeah.
Honestly, am. It's nice
Nice
to be back.
relaxing 2 weeks off.
Yes, lovely. Yeah, you're laughing. Yeah.
Well, you were
Never
flat
worked
out,
as hard in
lot
my
of
life,
stuff.
put it
I know,
that way.
Well done. Okay, listen, Gooch, thanks for that. We'll chat tomorrow. All right, it is a minute past 9. Let's get a news update and cross over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Donegal TD has confirmed that the Strand Hotel in Ballyliffin is no longer under consideration to be used as an iPass centre. The owners of the hotel, which has been closed since 2022, applied to Donegal County Council for a planning exemption to turn it into a temporary accommodation for refugees. Deputy Podger McLaughlin expressed concern over the plans to government department officials, who later confirmed that they did receive an offer for accommodation in respect of the hotel, but the property is no longer under consideration. Deputy McLaughlin says focus in the county now needs to turn to supporting those with defective concrete who need temporary accommodation while their homes are being rebuilt.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's incredibly insensitive when you're dealing with a humanitarian crisis, unprecedented in the history of the state, all across most of Donegal, as well as the fact that we have actually hosted more centres than any other county per head capita. I find it astonishing that there hasn't been a statement by the government and by the relevant officials to say that Donegal is no longer being considered for these centres.
A man has been charged to court following reports that a man had been filmed brandishing a knife in the Clondara area of Derry. The 28-year-old's been charged with several offences, including possessing an article with a blade or point in a public place and a fray. He's due to appear before Derry Magistrates Court today, and all charges will be reviewed by the Public Prosecution Service. People are using third-party apps to skip the queue for a driving test. Internet bots are being used to go through the RSA website and secure cancellation slots to sell to people waiting months, according to the Irish Times. It comes after the average wait time jumped from 24.1 weeks to 26.9, with 81,000 drivers now waiting for their test date. A hosepipe ban is now in effect for customers in Milford, Kerry, Keela and Ramelton on the Milford Regional Public Water Supply. A conservation order is also in place in parts of Meath and Westmeath. It's as a result of historically low water levels in the lakes serving Kells, Mullingar and Milford. Generally, people right across the country are being asked to conserve water as the system is under stress nationwide. Margaret Attridge is head of water services at Uisce Éireann and says there's a number of ways people can save supply.
If you take a shower instead of a bath, you can save up to 40 litres. If you reduce your shower by 1 minute, you can save 7 litres. If you turn off your tap when you're brushing your teeth, and not run it continuously, you can save 6 litres a minute. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do in your own home to conserve water.
Looking now to weather, dry and sunny with some cloud building in the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees in light variable breezes. That's all for now from the news desk. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, and you're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here in Highland Radio. 4 minutes past 9, and it's Tuesday, the 6th of May. How are you all keeping? I really hope you're very well indeed, and I hope you had a nice weekend, and it was a busy weekend for many different reasons right across the Northwest. We've got a lot to talk about, and we want you involved in the conversation throughout the course of the morning. If there's an issue you want to raise, something you want to pass on, 08660 25000, 08660 25000. Give us a call too if you wish, and 07491 25000, or email comments at highlandradio.com. You can watch the show, of course, by logging on to our website and clicking watch live, or you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and on the X platform. Community Garda information come up after 10. We're going to be reflecting on the fire in Inishowen, which has devastated one of the cultural hearts of the area. We'll talk about that and so much more besides. But let's look at the newspapers this morning first. And the Irish Times, their lead story is Israel's plans. They're literally going in to take Gaza and going to stay there for as long as they like. Tánaiste Simon Harris is described as alarming the reports of a planned, extensive and military operation by Israeli forces in Gaza. Mr. Harris, who is Minister for Foreign Affairs, said in a statement yesterday that such a move would result in further deaths, casualty and untold suffering for the Palestinian population, who already face a dire humanitarian situation. His comments follow a decision by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his security cabinet. They voted to scale up the offensive against Palestinian militant group Hamas in Gaza to the point of seizing the entire enclave and holding its territories. An Israeli official said yesterday the cabinet unanimously approved a plan to expand military operations in Gaza and to call up tens of thousands of Israeli Defense Force reservists. The expanded military campaign will entail seizing territory in Gaza, remaining there, moving the Gazan population south, denying Hamas the ability to distribute humanitarian supplies, and carrying out powerful strikes against militants, and they claim against militants, but whomever also might be in the way seems to be on the agenda there as well. History will reflect on what we're seeing in real time right now, and it won't reflect on it favourably. There's just no doubt about that, because we can see what's going on right now. The Irish Independent today, I don't know what you think of, because there's obviously there are, there's statistical facts, but there's also sort of, what people feel or what they believe. But apparently, according to the Independent today, Ireland's suicide rate has fallen by a quarter over a 20-year period. The Cabinet will be told today. Now, that sounds good, and I hope it is the case. I really do hope it is the case. Do I feel it is the case? I'm not quite sure. I was, a fully grown adult 20 years ago, and you kind of know what's going on around you, and a fully grown adult now, and it doesn't feel like there's been that big a drop, but clearly these are statistics, and I can only go by what I feel, which is just personal. The Cabinet will be advised of the figures by the Health Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeill and Junior Minister Mary Butler. From 2000 to 2021, the most recent year for which official figures are available, Ireland's suicide rate fell by 28%. The rate per 100,000 fell from 12.9 in 2000 to 9.2 in 2021, the 11th lowest figure in the EU, according to Eurostat, the European Commission Department for Statistical Information. Preliminary figures for 2023 recorded 302 deaths by suicide in Ireland, the lowest figure for more than 20 years. So that's the year before last. Across the entire country, it's claimed that 302 people died by suicide. The figures will be revised upwards with the conclusion of coroner investigations because there is a significant time lag in the reporting of deaths by suicide. However, the overall decline in the figures has been welcomed, while acknowledging even one death by suicide is one too many. And I just hope, because these are the figures that determine sort of resources and where money is spent and where interventions are put in place where they can be. these figures are used for that. And apparently, over 20 years, there's been a drop of over a quarter in those dying by suicide. 086 60 25,000 if you have a view on that. On to the Irish Daily Mail now. And the government must act to address Ireland's soaring abortion numbers. An anti-abortion rally in Dublin has been told. The call was made as a large crowd assembled outside Leinster House yesterday after the annual March for Life in the city. There were 10,033 abortions in Ireland in 2023, according to official data from the Department of Health. This was up on the 8,156 terminations in 2022. That's a rise of 23% in just 1 year. The figures for 2024 are expected to be published in the coming weeks. The rally outside the Oireachtas was told there was a need for immediate steps by the government to stop the upward trend. Ellis Mulroy from the Pro-Life Campaign, the organisation that staged the event, told the crowd at Molesworth Street, at the heart of public life in Ireland today, there is a disconnect, a denialism, an indifference and a total lack of accountability that has to be confronted and broken. So I suppose the question is many of you chose to vote one way or other in the abortion referendum that took place. When you did so, did you believe that in 1 year, in 2023, 10,033 abortions would take place? Is that what you voted for, or is that more than you voted for, or did you just vote because it's a person's right? If you want to send us a text in relation to that, feel free to do so. I picked this story out because you never know what the ramifications might be for Donegal. Of course, I think film production and the shooting of films is on the up. There's an awful lot of work goes on behind the scenes within Donegal County Council to promote Donegal as a film destination. So maybe these latest announcements by US President Donald Trump on tariffs, who's to say what impact it may or may not have. US President Donald Trump sent Irish film executives into a panic after he announced a 100% tariff on movies produced outside of his country. Movie and TV productions have been exiting Hollywood for years. They now favour local locations with tax breaks that make filming cheaper, with Ireland being one of many countries to benefit. All major media companies, including Disney, Netflix and Universal Pictures, film overseas in countries such as New Zealand, Canada and the UK. Now, there is no information as to what is it on scripts, is it on production, is it on actors? It is not clear, and maybe nothing will come of it, but just to keep an eye on it, because as I say, who's to say what the ramifications might be here? Now, I don't know what parents might take their children into a pub and buy them non-alcoholic beer. So I don't know what this story is. I know what the story is about, but I'm not sure how big an issue it is, but we'll read on and see. Parents can technically buy non-alcoholic beers in pubs and give them to their underage kids under current laws, the Justice Minister has confirmed. Minister Jim O'Callaghan has now been urged to provide clarity or update laws around the sale of 0.0 products to minors, with Alcohol Action Ireland telling the Irish Mirror that there is currently a loophole. The information was provided to Labour's Justice spokesperson Alan Kelly, who asked Minister O'Callaghan in a parliamentary question if publicans are permitted to serve adults alcohol-free branded beer, why they intend the beer to be for consumption by children who are accompanied by adults. In response, Mr O'Callaghan stated current licensing laws provide for a prohibition on the purchase, provision or consumption of intoxicating liquor by a person under the age of 18 years. He added this prohibition does not apply to alcohol-free alternatives. Now, again, I can't imagine any parents bringing a child in and buying them a 0.0 Guinness. Maybe it is happening, I don't know. It's a loophole that's there. Is it being exploited? I don't know. But sure, maybe you've seen 8-year-olds drinking lager. I doubt it. But anyway. And offering accommodation in exchange for sex will become a criminal offence under plans to be discussed by Cabinet today. Now, this is one of those things that you can't imagine that anyone could be so low as to offer accommodation to someone based on receiving sexual favours, but also too that people might find themselves so desperate that they might take up that offer. But it does happen, and these offers are being put out there on websites, and they use code words so that they can appear on legitimate websites as well. But it's going to be offence, and so it should be. Offering accommodation in exchange for sex will become a criminal offence under plans to be discussed by Cabinet today. It follows a commitment in the programme for government to criminalise those who seek sex for rent. Justice Minister Jim O'Callaghan will inform Cabinet of plans to address what has been branded as highly exploitative behaviour by the introduction of 2 specific criminal offences. I was also interested to listen to Donna Marie's story there about third-party software being used to scrape cancellations off the RSA website. Do you remember I've said a few times on this programme, if you're a regular listener, that was an option that was there, and thankfully Aaron was able to get a cancellation because, I'll be honest with you, I committed far too much time in trying to get a cancellation. There's a process you can go through, but apparently now third-party apps are doing this on behalf of people seeking them. I suppose I'm not sure if it's a bad thing or not, because I mean, if people are desperate and they're getting their driving tests, or are they being sold on? I don't know what's going on with it, but it just that's a little option people had if they were desperate to get a driving license, and it's not a fair playing field if you're trying to do it manually and there's third-party software doing it. It kind of ruins it for everyone except the few that managed to get those. But as I say, before it was being done by apps, it was an open and fair playing field, but not so anymore. And we're so desperate up here too. Our waiting lists are 28 weeks, I think, in North Donegal for a driving test now. That means if you got your 12 lessons and you applied right now, it could be November, December before you even get your driving test. Crazy stuff. And yet we hear all the while that new driving testers are being employed and distributed, and still it seems to make no impact. But anyway, 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number. You can call us as always on 074 91 25,000.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Get ready, Donegal. The Letterkenny Motor Show is back, happening Saturday 10th of May from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the ATU campus. See the latest new cars and vans from 11 local dealerships showcasing 20 top motor brands all in one place on one day. Brought to you by your local franchise motor dealers, it's a day to celebrate driving, style and innovation. With entertainment and fun for the whole family, this is one show you don't want to miss. Proudly supported by First Citizen Finance, Letterkenny Chamber, the Society of the Irish Motor Industry and Britain Insurance. Visit letterkennymotorshow.ie for full details.
There's never been a better time to get on a bike. Bike Week runs from Saturday, May 10th to Sunday, May 18th. It's easy, fun, and there's something for everyone. Enjoy a wide range of events from community and school cycles, fun bike festivals, safety workshops and much more. Visit bikeweek.ie for a full list of events taking place in your county. Bike Week is funded by the Department of Transport, coordinated by TFI and brought to you by the local authorities and sport partnerships.
Massive savings at Doherty Super Value Carndonna. At our butcher's counter, eye of the round roast beef better than half price. 7.5 kg roosters only €5.59. And any 3 fruits only €10. Real rewards, real value. Shop smart, save big at Doherty Super Value Carndonna.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now just turning 18 minutes past 9, and most of us learned with great sadness of a fire at the iconic Doe Famine Village on the Inishowen Peninsula. We all know it as one of the Northwest's most famous tourist attractions, but it's been heavily damaged by fire. Pat Doherty is owner of Doe Famine Village. Pat, thanks for joining us. As is often say in situations like this, I wish we were talking about anything else but this. You must all be devastated, are you?
Thanks, Q. That's been a shock. Shock just explains it. And it happened on Saturday, so about 3:30. A neighbour noticed a fire outside the famine village, way at the very far end. And by the time we got it and got prepared for it, it was too strong, and it quickly spread through one section of the famine village and totally destroyed that. So the buildings that would be destroyed would be the all to do with the famine, the safe house, the Orange Hall, and to do with the travelling community here in Donegal, that section, and then our local history too.
It's yeah. Sorry, Pat. I'm just trying to soak it all in. It's absolutely devastating. And it started and then spread so quickly.
Started on an outside like a shed, and spread quickly. Grasses around that area and all that there. So it quickly got going with the good weather too. And but it's beside it. So there was no stopping of it then when it got going. By the time we got to it, it was too strong a fire. The fire brigades came, four brigades came, and they got to stop before it came into our own, into the thatched houses. So they got to stop at that point. So they saved that only for the fire brigades were making their way here. And there'd been a lot of other damage because the other houses burned too, local neighbours' houses, only for the fire brigades.
Unbelievable.
So, it was a big fire.
And in terms of building back, because as difficult it is at the moment, can it be restored?
Well, a lot of the whole thing was built on stories. We started off in our own home house and we'd tell them how we lived, and then we simple things. People would come. We started back in 1987, and then there weren't many tourists about because the troubles were strong in Northern Ireland, and tourists didn't come to any show in that time. Very few. There was same as any other part of the world today where there's trouble. So people were avoiding any show, and they were avoiding Derry. And then the people that would come, we simple things like, they'd be driving along the road, see a lot of cars outside the house, and they'd want to know what was happening there. And you tell them somebody had died, was awake, and they couldn't understand that. So we added the wake into it. That's how that began, and the story of the wake. And then as the time went on, we connected the wake to other parts of the world, and this whole story of being buried alive and the fear, sitting around hoping for the person to wake up. So, and that's how it got his name. So that's how that story began. And then, because it was 1987, we put the name on it of Famine Village because that was the anniversary of the famine back then, 150 years. And then we started to tell the story of the famine, and then things were different back then too, because people were coming from different communities and they had different views on the famine. So we started to connect that then with world famine and how it's seen to from both sides. And then the wee simple thing then was things were improving on then, and people would come in and say, they come around the 12th of July and they want to know why should they avoid Northern Ireland today, because the marches were strong that time, so they want to know what an Orange Hall was. So went then to the Orange Order and decided to build an Orange Hall, which seemed a crazy thing then. And they all became involved in it then. Different lodges started off White Rock in Belfast, which is a strong loyalist area. They came in first and decorated part of it, and then other lodges got involved in that. And then what happened then was the Republican side weren't really happy then with the Orange Hall being there. And so went to a few Republicans, one man from Donegal, a man from Ballybofey, Eddie Gallagher, and he came up with the idea then of a safe house to balance the story out. And so both sides could tell their own story. So the safe house started, and it was the time of the peace process, so it told the whole story of the peace thing. And then at the very end, we had the names of everybody who died through the troubles. And families would come, and some of them would, they'd read their brother, their sister, their mother, their father was on the wall. And McGinley's bus came in with a group from England one day, and they're all English people. And this lady read the names, and she was very upset. And what she seen on the board was her son. He was a British soldier. It was the first time she'd seen the name. So there's things like that you remember, from certain days. And
I mean, it's a life's work really that's got into this to create this living history. It's just hard then to sort of replicate that, isn't it? Because it's grown in such an organic way. And I think the way you talked of the way things were introduced in response to reactions from people outside of the Dole Famine Village, that made it even more authentic. I don't know if that's the right word.
Everything we did was always a question people asked.
Mm.
The visitor would ask, why do you do this and why do you do that and why did you starve if you're living beside the sea? And we try to answer them questions for them, and that's what they come to hear. And some of them just come to know how can you afford to live here. They see all the big houses in Donegal and they want to know what they work at. So that's what tours are interested in. It's not always about what happened 200 or 300 years ago. They want to know what's happening in today's Ireland too.
Very
and you try to
sadly,
help them that way, and that's what.
Yeah, I was going to say, just in the very early hours after this, unfortunately, or I don't know what the actual motivation was. Maybe it was well-meaning people. A number of GoFundMe pages were established. There's one official one now, and we'll share that out there. And people have very generously already raised over €32,000. You wouldn't have had insurance. Would it have been hard to insure some of this stuff?
You wouldn't get insured for it. We're at they're thatched houses, and and if you did get insured, it wouldn't be viable. We were the last self-sustaining one in Ireland, the museum. It completely depends on what comes in at the door, and we didn't really bother grants for nothing like that in the past. It survived on its own, so you kept having to try a wee bit harder to get people there, and but it worked. It worked that way. But just you have to put a lot of time into it. We work 7 days a week, same as a lot of people self-employed around Donegal. It doesn't work. 9 to 5 doesn't work.
No.
What comes under the towel is what you survive on.
So
you have to put the effort into it.
I mean, the answer to this question might be different in a month as it is now, because we're only Tuesday, right? And this is all really, everyone's only really coming to terms with what happened now. But I mean, obviously people are donating generously. People want to back you in continuing into the future. Pat, have you been able to even consider what you hope to do going forward?
Well, we're looking at, can we get part of the thatched cottages are all here, so we're looking at, can we maybe get that open now for later on in the summer, and then take it from there. But at the minute, it's more of a shock. It's hard to think that way.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking before I even asked the question, because it's just so new, and you could wake up tomorrow full of vigor and plans, but it's just right now. It might be quite difficult. In situations like this, and one of the things people get comfort with is the community and the generosity of people. Has that been helping you, Pat, through it? As I say, so many people donating so generously, and everyone expressing the importance of this thing that you've created.
Aye. It's big help, surely. And even on that day, for example, first is the fire service, then the Garda, and then there was an ambulance crew here just in case something went wrong like that. And then with the neighbours all came in, and we had a full field of neighbours, and a field with tractors, slurry tankers, diggers. They'd all lined up, and so there's a big response there. That's what you remember, that type of thing.
And I suppose we have to be thankful too, don't we, that we're talking about sort of structural damage here and not any loss of life either for those that may have been about, or the emergency services too, because it could be perilous enough.
That's right. No, it's all down to that there, that nobody's injured.
All right.
Then, as you say, the GoFundMe, the Alpaca Way started the GoFund one, and thanks to him, and a lot of people have contributed to that, so I thank them too. But a lot, it's hard to understand. A lot of children putting on their money into it. Children are going to school. It's wee simple things like that makes you really think.
Yeah. Okay. Because what you've created is so important that people want to help, and also to support you and your family. That's why That's why people do these things, Pat. It's a testimony to you and to what you've created and the importance of it. And I am optimistic that when the dust settles, you'll build back stronger, bigger and stronger than ever.
Aye. Thanks.
Pat, I'll let you go. Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, take care of yourself.
Thanks so much, and thank everybody else too, and everybody who helped out.
All right, look after yourself, Pat, please. Thanks very much indeed. That's Pat Doherty, owner of Doe Famine Village. Now, as many of you know, as we've just been discussing, much of Doe Famine Village has been destroyed by that fire on the 3rd of May. There is a GoFundMe page which has been set up, and it currently stands at over €32,000. And it's John McGonigal is organising the fundraising appeal. So you can search that out. We'll link it on our Facebook page in case you want to help Pat in the rebuilding process. As I say, it's just a little bit early perhaps even to be talking about that because everything is so raw. But there are a few fake pages out there trying to take advantage of the fire. Just be cautious there. As I say, it is anyone can create a GoFundMe. So maybe, what you do see, particularly in other parts of the world, is that people sort of want to be the first in there, or they could be in there just trying to exploit this tragedy. There is one official GoFundMe page. It's Doe Family Village, started by John McGonigal. It's at over €32,000, and you can be assured that that money goes towards assisting Pat in the rebuilding process, which inevitably will start just as everyone comes to terms with this. Councillor Martin McDermott's with me as well. I let Pat go there, obviously, because it's a tough old time, Councillor. And, the Doe Famine Village has been huge for the local area and tourism in Inishowen.
Yeah, good morning, Greg. Yeah, it has been. It's one of the most iconic places that we have here, particularly here in North Inishowen. Pat has built a business there that has brought thousands and thousands of people to North Inishowen, that has helped, businesses, hotels, B&Bs, restaurants. What Pat has done has helped all those people over a lot of years. And Pat himself has helped a lot of people in tourism around here over the last number of years, where Pat was always there for them to help them in any way that he could. And I think that's important, that we're there now to help Pat to do whatever we can to get the famine village back up and running again, because, Greg, we don't have enough places in Donegal or Inishowen for tourism. And the famine village was something that was known all over Ireland and all over the world, and it brought a lot of people. It brought people every day of the week to this part of the peninsula. And we have to make sure that we do everything we can to get back on his feet again and give him a chance to get the Doe Famine Village back up and running.
Yeah, and so well kept, so beautiful too, when you see the side-by-side pictures of what was there and the havoc wreaked by the fire. It's really devastating because, it's we heard Pat outline the time that went into this, the time and the organic nature of how it developed. You can't put a price on that. You can't insure that. You can't buy that. That's a life's work, a life's dedication.
No, anybody that knows Pat and Magella and all the family out there will know that, they put their life into this 7 days a week. They put everything into the famine village and the Santa at Christmas, and it was just such an iconic place. And again, you couldn't underestimate how important it is to this area, and how important it is to tourism, because so many people and so many families and so many businesses depend on tourism. They depend on that summer month to keep them going for the rest of the year. And Pat has been in the middle of that for a long number of years. So it's so important that we get this back up and running again and do everything we can to help Pat. And I think, you see, like on Saturday, when the news broke, everyone was devastated. Everyone around the whole area, not just in Inishowen and Donegal and around the world. So you can see how, Pat himself and the famine village has so important to people, and you couldn't put into words how people were feeling that night. Everywhere you went, people were talking about it, and everybody was of the same opinion. We have to try and do something to make sure that that's back up and running again. So, I know it'll take a few weeks to get that to settle in. But we certainly will work with Pat and do, and I'm sure every country's the same, and every person that's involved in tourism, Falls Ireland, ourselves, Donegal County Council, everybody will help in whatever way we can over the next number of weeks to try and come up with some plan that will help to get Pat back on his feet.
Well, that's it, because at this point, often, and unfortunately, I've had an opportunity to speak to a lot of people after devastating fires. It's very hard to see any sort of, future or what have you, because it literally is just so raw. But what does happen normally, and I hope it's the case here, is that as time passes, that pathway to a return becomes more clearer, and there certainly will be a will, and there is, hopefully, with the money being raised away, to return it to maybe even bigger and better. Who's to say? But just as I say, it's hard to fathom that now, but hopefully that optimism will come.
When you put your life in, Pat, and the families put their life into this, starting off from where they were to where they are today, and when you put your life into something and it's taken away that quickly, it's devastating. But as you say, Greg, hopefully over the next week or two that things will settle down and we can get a plan in place, and hopefully, as you say, come back with something bigger and better.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Councillor Martin McDermott there. And the GoFundMe target is going up all the time. People are so generous. €32,547 has been raised. Please be careful if you are donating, because anyone can start a GoFundMe page, and a few have started them. And there is the potential to sort of take money off people, and it will never find its way to Doe Famine Village. There is one official one, and John McGonigal of the Wild Alpaca Way has started it, and as I say, people are donating generally. There's a €100,000 target, and they're a third of the way there, exactly 33% of the way there. We'll share it on our social media so you can trust that link, and if you want to help raise money. It's not just local people, of course, affected by this. Hi there. We're sad to see that Doe Famine Village has had a devastating fire that has destroyed so much of the museum. Is there an official GoFundMe page? And if so, can you put a link on your page, which we are? It's such a shame, but if it could be rebuilt, it would be fantastic. We are from England, but my mum and dad were from Derry and Rathmullen, and I've been coming to see my relations in Derry and visiting Donegal since I was 8, so for almost 40 odd years. We've brought our children over to show them Irish history from all sides, and also our English friends. So it is important that it rises from the ashes to educate the generations to come. Hope you can help. Jerry Flynn sent that in, and Jerry, yep, check it out. We'll get that to you. Right, back with more after these.
If you are a victim of domestic violence, help and support are available. We spoke to Niamh from the communications team in Kewen about the state and non-state support in Donegal available to victims of domestic, sexual and gender-based violence.
Kewen is the National Domestic, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Agency. So we fund and support the services on the ground who work with victims and survivors of domestic or sexual violence. We also run awareness-raising campaigns, and we really want to share the message that if you are a victim of domestic or sexual violence, you are not alone. There are support services from state agencies and the voluntary sector available to help you.
For Donegal support services, go to alwayshere.ie/Donegal.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
All access to Audi is all yours with the 252 Audi range. Enjoy exhilarating test drives, exciting offers, introductory incentives, and exclusive product packs for a limited time during Audi All Access in dealerships nationwide. Discover all the advantages to owning a new Audi this summer. Terms and conditions apply. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
So, as you would know, there is a new operation model in place now here in Donegal as it relates to An Garda Síochána. The Donegal division has introduced its business service functional area, which we're told has reduced the amount of administrative activities held by operational members. and the remaining functional areas kicked in towards the end of last month. Each functional area is led by an acting superintendent, with the exception of the business services functional area, which is led by an assisted principal. So what does this actually mean? We know the GRA are opposed to it. They're concerned about it. We know other branches of An Garda Síochána, the Garda sergeants and inspectors, have their concerns as well. But what does it all mean? Paul Wallace is former Provisional Crime Prevention Officer, and National Executive Member of the Garda Sergeants and Inspectors, and he joins us on the show now. Paul, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
Right, so in real terms, what's happened? What has changed? What has changed between the way this county is policed now versus, say, 5 years ago?
Well, 5 years ago we had the five district headquarters in Letterkenny, Buncrana, Milford, Glentees and Ballyshannon, and now with the new model, that's going to reduce down. It's just changing the model. It goes into functional areas more, and your centres will be Buncrana, Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, with Milford going off the map as such. The backstory to this is, I suppose, it was the first modernisation of organisational structures in the Guards in over 100 years. It came on the back of a report, the Commission of Future Policing in Ireland, which was commissioned by government. Kathleen O'Toole, a former commissioner from the US, led out on this report and produced the report with his findings, and it was adopted by government, because a lot of people are going around saying it's a Drew Harris model, a Commissioner Drew Harris model, but it's not. It's coming from government, accepted it, and government adopted it. And when, in my time on the national executive of the AGSI, we would have raised concerns. I particularly had the focus in relation to Donegal, because Donegal is unique. As the saying says up here, we're different, but it is unique. There's no surrounding divisions. And initially they were putting Donegal in Sligo Leitrim, which certainly would not have worked, because you would have had a reduction in resources, or a dispersal of resources as such. So government announced in August 2019 that they were changing from 28 divisions down to 19. Then they put it up to 21 again, because Donegal was left as a standalone division. COVID intervened and nothing much happened over that time. But now I think our Donegal is last on the list as such. And what they're saying is the divisions have to be self-sufficient for operational administration purposes and all of that. But it's the topography and the geography of Donegal it makes it a difficult area to police anyway, because you have populated areas around the coast, and you have mountains in the middle, and you have islands, populated islands, and all of that. So this model really doesn't take cognizance of that at all. And by centralisation of resources, centering them in Letterkenny or whatever, it means that there's longer response times. It's going to take when people ring the Guards, they normally have tried every other solution. It's normally a call of last resort a lot of times. So, and you would expect the resources to be there within a reasonable time. Mm. What they are saying officially, that it's based on a community policing model. But if it's based on a community policing model, the community need to see people out visible in their community. And the feedback that's coming nationally, not alone here, is that the Guards, you don't see them, you don't know them, they're covering large areas, that sort of thing. Then we have the other problem then that has been well documented in falling numbers, people resigning, people leaving, people retiring early and all of that. And you can't do more with less. It's in business, I suppose that's a sort of a by rule or
But just to try and help me understand in relation to this, let's presume, and we know we don't, let's presume we had the same Garda numbers now as we did 5 years ago. And I really want to sort of tease out how this model is actually working. What has changed that means we see less Gardaí out and about, if you know what I mean? Or we also have to factor in now that your calls are triaged down the country as well before you even get a unit dispatched to you. But my understanding is that there's more, not my understanding, what I've been told is that there's more Gardaí out and about, and when they're responding to calls, they know exactly where that patrol car happens to be, and whichever patrol car is closest can react quickest. That they're not necessarily responding from Glenties, but there's a car around Bunbeg that can get to, Main Street, Dunlow quicker than if it was dispatched from Glenties, for an example. So that's how we're being sold it. What is the reality compared to that?
Yeah, well, that's what's been sold and that's what's been said. And the cars are tracked now. The calls go into a call centre in Galway, and I suppose initially that's causing some problems too. That they're not able to pick up on the local pronunciations and things like that. But I suppose that's something that will be ironed out in time. A lot of police forces have gone down that road where you have the central allocation of the resources going out. But yeah, and you have the cars are tracked and they can see on the screen exactly where they are. But like sometimes 20 miles in Donegal won't take you 20 minutes. It could take you 35, 40 minutes, depending on the road network. And when there was a district headquarters in Glenties, then it was amalgamated in with Milford, we would have pointed out that they actually had picked the wrong location there. That the other district headquarters should have been either in Dunlow, Bunbeg or Falcara, probably Bunbeg, because it was bang centre in the most densely populated rural area in Western Europe, back over surveys over the years. You also have an island community that needs servicing and all that, and you would have been able to put in extra resources. But it's grand on paper to say, oh, well, there's a call in Dunlow, but the car is actually in Dunfanaghy. Like, that's a 45-minute journey in any man's terms, and the road network doesn't, you see. And that's, I suppose, case in point is when Creasla happened, what did we see? We've seen a great turnout of emergency personnel there to deal with a tragic event. And you had ambulances coming out of Northern Ireland, you had the fire brigade, but the guards were there on their own. And you see, this is where they don't seem to get it. And this is no reflection, and I should say, on our local Garda management, which are excellent, but they're handled a model to deal with, and just 1 second. They're handled a model that they have to deal with and implement on the ground. But what we're saying, or what was said, I shouldn't say what we're saying, when last January the AGSI conducted a questionnaire or a response from their members, and what the key findings there was resource challenges. 96% people of the respondents said there was insufficient numbers. Community policing concerns, 82% said there's not that high visibility policing. The size of the divisions, the 3-county model wasn't working, and the 98% called for review. Now, the Guards had done their own response or survey back in May 24, but they never released the outcome because obviously they didn't want to put it out into the public arena.
So if we were better resourced, in this county, is this a better policing model than what it replaced?
I suppose time will tell, but at the review would take cognizance of the topography and the geography and the size. Like policing in the Western Seaboard of Ireland or policing in Ireland is probably, they talk about UK models and that. Probably Police Scotland is the closest model to us because they have large centres of population, they have coastline, they have islands, they have all of that, and they have said that it didn't work with them, and now they're looking at going back. But we seem to be always in this country, we adopt a thing, and once it's adopted, we're not able to adjust it, review it, or change it in any way. The guards that you speak to will say the level of accountability, the level of recording, that's there as keeping people tied to keyboards all the time, even though we were told that by bringing in all these Garda staff people would help. It certainly probably has helped from what they call business functionality, in relation to routine administration and all of that. But like police people are outdoor people dealing with the public, and that's where you I don't know, was it the first commissioner said you don't achieve anything by force of arms, it's by the moral authority of the people. So the people have to be listened to. Our politicians have to listen to the people on the ground in Donegal that feel they're not getting the service that they should.
But just the last question in relation to this, for the purpose of this conversation, we're effectively a peninsula. We've got a different policing authority to our right. We've got the sea to our left. We're going to talk a little bit later on about cars coming into the area. in the likes of Bridgend and Muff and other places, and doing donuts and driving crazy, and
Yes,
they
and that's
clearly
so good,
are aware of response times and what have you, right? So that's potentially the thin edge of the wedge. So if people can feel they can come up in here and you know, drive like a film around our towns and villages persecuting people, and they know they can get away really without getting caught, you know, what about then the rest of it? How exposed are our coasts to drug smuggling, for an example? We've already seen, you know, millions of euro washing up, but also just basic criminality. Criminals will move. You know, if we know it, they know it. So how concerned would you be as a former member that A, we're seeing sort of the resources already being exploited, but on the more serious element of crime, we're going to see more of that?
Yeah, well, you see, I suppose when you go on talking about things like this, you're actually putting ideas in people's heads, and it's very hard.
These people know themselves. They know themselves.
Yeah, well, I know, but I spent 20 years, as you know, out dealing in the community, and that's the only basis when Caroline rang me that I said I'd come on, because you know, it's very easy to come on and be critical and say this isn't working, that isn't working. Well, what are the solutions? But, you know, you can see that events in Donegal that the Guards have policed, like the Irish Open up in Ballyliffin a number of years ago, the Donegal Rally, which is a major event, when the resources are put in and the money is spent, the response is good. But it's the day-to-day, it's the 50 other weeks of the year where you just where you're expecting a car in Creasla to call to a call in Dunlow. Now, the advent of air codes and that have made people easier to locate and that sort of thing, and that's all good. But as you said, we are a peninsula here. We are unique, and really, I think what we were trying to articulate at the time was that the model should be divisional specific. You know, it should be like a toolkit for, as I said about Bunbeg, it would make sense that a centre would be in Bunbeg, and I'll not be very surprised that in 5 years' time you won't have a large policing centre in Bunbeg, because they will realise when something goes wrong that we didn't get this right. We can't manage that in Letkenny. It's like the armed support. They're based in Ballyshannon. They're in the wrong location. They're in a grand location to service Sligo and Leitrim, but they're not in the right location for Donegal, because you know yourself, being from Lahi, it's a journey from Lahi or Ballyshannon to any part of Donegal once you go north. So, you know, that's only one simple point. Armed response is great, but it's not much good if it's going to take it an hour and a quarter to be there. No more than what you referenced there, the diffing around a roundabout down in Bridgend. That's no reflection on the local guards.
No,
the local guards were probably trying to cover and answer calls from Mallinhead to Burnfoot across to Moville. You know, sure, Buncrana district, as it stood before a couple of weeks ago, before this new model came in, is bigger geographically than the size of County Louth, which is a division on its own. You know, so like the reviews have been called. I remember very well the day we had a meeting in Dublin. Deputy Commissioner John Toomey was at the meeting at the time, and I explained about the distances from West Donegal. Like when you look at distances from Leitrim Ward, which is the furthest part of Milford district, is 56 kilometres from Milford. So if you have a prisoner or drunk driver or whatever it is from Leitrim Ward, you're talking an hour to get them to their place of detention. So like that doesn't make any sense.
No, okay. Paul, listen, thanks so much for accepting our invite and help us understand it a little bit better. I do appreciate it.
But rusty, but sure, got there.
No, you're good. You're good. Thanks so much. That's Paul Wallace, former crime prevention officer, of course, and a former national executive member of the Garda Sergeants and Inspectors, with a very valuable insight into the potential workings or not of the new policing model, which is fully rolled out here now, I believe, in County Donegal.
It's the holiday of a lifetime, Highland in the Sun 2025. This September 14th to the 21st, we go back to the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel Saloon for 7 nights dinner, bed and breakfast, and lots of great entertainment with some of your favourite acts in Irish country music. Don't delay and book today by contacting Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime.
I'm Fionnuala Fibre O'Farrell Flynn, racing across the country to keep up with NBI's fibre rollout. Over 50 broadband providers are using NBI's network to bring high-speed fibre broadband to homes across Ireland. So from Ballyliffin to Ballybuffet, homeowners can pick whatever package suits their needs and still get all the benefits of rural Ireland's dedicated fibre broadband network. Connect at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Another connection. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Well, the weather forecast is going to be kind of samey for the next wee while, and it's not too bad either. Dry and sunny with some cloud building in the afternoon. Temperatures 14 to 17 degrees in light variable breezes tonight. Dry and clear. Temperatures 4 to 7, and tomorrow largely dry with sunny spells. Temperatures 13 to 17 degrees. So that's what it's like at the moment. And then we've got that hose pipe ban effectively, which has come into place in Milford. Hopefully, we'll bring you more information. Yesterday, and just in case what does that actually mean? On the 10,000 abortions yearly, as the local historian Joe Kelly said about Ireland in the years after the yes vote, the nation will eventually relearn all the things we already know but had forgotten. The penny's dropping that this government and opposition have been destroying common sense. Why is Greg saying the council's film office is hard-working? They don't answer phone calls or emails. I can only go by my interaction with them. But listen, if you're having issues in that regard, let us know more. Disgusted to hear the Strand Hotel in Ballyliffin may become an iPass centre. The owner has no regard for other businesses in the area who will no doubt be affected if this goes ahead. Shame on all business people and politicians making money out of these iPass centres. They're not wanted in Ireland. No politicians locally making money out of it, but I think I know who you're referencing. We're going to be covering that story, of course. I suspect, having gone through council documentation as it relates to applications for iPass centres, I would be very surprised, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen. We'll do the story and we'll see where things go, but I'd be very surprised if permission was given in that area, in that building, for an iPass centre by the local authority. But as I say, I can't preempt that, and we'll keep our eye on it, and we'll be discussing it in a little bit more detail a little later on. Inishowen and Donegal should not have iPass centres, and our housing estates in Donegal getting modular homes built for migrants. That's another story we're looking into. It's just one person saying it. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'd like to get a little bit more detail in relation to that. It's not fair. Should think of the defective concrete block houses, give the places to them and build modular homes for them. Shame on the government. Well, the government ruled out modular homes for defective concrete block homes for some reason. I don't know why. But as I say, I've had a number of reports of modular homes going in Donegal. We'll check that out and bring any information we can get to you. 08660 25,000. That, of course, is our WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices. Loads coming up, including Community Garda information, pretty much right after the news and obituary notices.
It's your chance to CFC save big with CFC Interiors Campsie Derry in our massive £1.5 million stock clearance. We have slashed prices across all departments with up to 75% off across our 3 CFC stores. Our massive £1.5 million stock clearance ends this weekend. Visit CFC Campsie Derry before it all goes.
Join Davida's home care team. We value individuality. We deliver care with compassion and respect. We will train you and support you every step of the way. But above all, we will empower you to make a meaningful difference every day. Your life, your way. Join Davida. Apply today at davida.ie or call your local Davida office.
Looking for a technology partner to help you reach your business goals?
With cybersecurity solutions from Vodafone, your business can hack off the hackers. And with our collaboration tools like Microsoft 365, your business can bring the team together, wherever they are. Keeping your business secure and productive. Make technology work for you with solutions and support from Vodafone. Search Your Business Can today.
Please don't break. Please don't break. Phew. Did your boiler just clank and rattle through another winter? That's got to feel good, for now anyway. And if you switch from oil to Caller, you'll keep that good feeling going all through next winter too. Right now, homes not on the gas network get a free boiler, plus the first winter of home heating on us when they switch. Caller, the energy that connects us. Terms and conditions apply. See calorgas.ie for details.
Ready to order your 252 Nissan? Then get to iMotors Letterkenny from Thursday, May 15th to Sunday, May 18th. Explore the exciting new Nissan range with cutting-edge tech, bold design and unbeatable value. We're taking 252 orders now. Your perfect car built your way. Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday 12 to 4. Don't miss it.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. Over €32,000 has been raised for the Doa famine village in the wake of a fire that destroyed 2 sections of the tourist attraction. Owner Pat Doherty says he's still in shock. The blaze broke out at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and it's suspected that it was caused by an air compressor in one of the displays. Mr. Doherty told Greg Hughes on this morning's 9 till noon show that due to the nature of the amenity, there's no insurance to cover the cost of repairs.
Definitely, you wouldn't get insured for what we're at now. They're thatched houses, and and that if you did get insured, it wouldn't be viable. We were the last self-sustaining one in Ireland at the museum. It completely depends on what comes in at the door, and we didn't really bother grants for nothing like that in the past. It survived on its own, so you kept having to try a wee bit harder to get people there.
A Donegal TD has confirmed that the Strand Hotel in Ballyliffin is no longer under consideration to be used as an iPass centre. Owners of the hotel, which has been closed since 2022, applied to Donegal County Council for a planning exemption to turn it into temporary accommodation for refugees. Deputy Padraig McLaughlin expressed concern over the plans to the government department officials, who later confirmed that they did receive an offer of accommodation in respect of the hotel, but the property is no longer under consideration. Deputy McLaughlin says the focus in the county now needs to turn to supporting those with defective concrete who need temporary accommodation while their homes are being rebuilt.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's incredibly insensitive when you're dealing with a humanitarian crisis, unprecedented in the history of the state, all across most of Donegal, as well as the fact that we have actually hosted more centres than any other county per head capita. I find it astonishing that there hasn't been a statement by the government and by the relevant officials to say that Donegal is no longer being considered for these centres.
A man has been charged to court following reports that a man had been filmed brandishing a large knife in the Clondara area of Derry. The 28-year-old has been charged with several offences, including possessing an article with a blade or point in a public place and a fray. He's due to appear before Derry Magistrates Court today. All charges will be reviewed by the Public Prosecution Service. People are using third-party apps to skip the queue for a driving test. Internet bots are being used to go through the RSA website and secure cancellation slots to sell to people waiting months, according to the Irish Times. It comes after the average wait time jumped from 24.1 weeks to 26.9, with 81,000 drivers now waiting for a test. The Irish population is being urged to conserve water as the system is under stress nationwide. It comes as a hosepipe ban is now in effect for customers in Milford, Kerrykeele and Ramelton on the Milford Regional Public Water Supply, as well as in parts of Meath and Westmeath. It's as a result of historically low water levels in lakes serving Kells, Mullingar and Milford. Margaret Attridge is head of water services at Uisce Éireann and says there's a number of ways that people can save supply.
If you take a shower instead of a bath, you can save up to 40 litres. If you reduce your shower by 1 minute, you can save 7 litres. If you turn off your tap when you're brushing your teeth and not run it continuously, you can save 6 litres a minute. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do in your own home to conserve water.
New economic forecasts for Ireland will be published later to take into account Trump's tariffs. 2 scenarios will be brought before the Cabinet this morning. One is where a trade deal between the EU and US has taken place. The second scenario is where there's a global 10% tariff and a 60% tariff on China. Political correspondent with the Irish Times, Jack Horgan-Jones, says the hope is for a deal between America and Europe.
I think that's actually quite interesting that their kind of baseline set of assumptions is that an EU-US trade deal is agreed, which seems to be a kind of a relatively low likelihood outcome at the moment. But nonetheless, that does seem to be what they're assuming will happen, albeit planning and trying to model for the various sets of impacts on the economy, were that not to be the case.
Looking now to the weather forecast, dry and sunny with some cloud to build through the afternoon, highest temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees. That's all for now from the news desk, back with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, May 6th. The death has occurred of Michael Mick O'Dowd, Bunbeg Gweedore, formerly of Ballasadair, County Sligo. His remains will repose at his home today and tomorrow from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. Rosary nightly at 8 o'clock. House private after the rosary and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral mass will take place on Thursday at 1 p.m. in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Dunlewy. Interment afterwards in Maharagowan Cemetery, Gweedore. Funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has occurred of Philomena Murphy, 84, Ardmacul Stranorler, remains reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate Stranorler at 11 a.m. Interment in St Mary's Churchyard, Sessionhill. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Family, close friends and neighbours are welcome to pay their respects. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has occurred of Samuel Wallace, 3, Castle Park, Buncrana. His remains are reposing at his home. Removal this afternoon to Monrea Presbyterian Graveyard for interment at 2 o'clock. Funerals private to family and friends only. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Crumlin Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Donahue Eddie O'Devenny, Carrick Hill, Ranafast. His remains will repose at his home in Ranafast today from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. Rosaries at 8 o'clock. House private after the rosary and on the morning of the funeral, please. A funeral mass will take place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Star of the Sea Church, Annagry. Interments afterwards in the new graveyard. Funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. There's a shuttle bus in operation at Ashling Ranafirsta to take people to and from the wake house. The death has occurred of Bernie Deeney, Nee McCarn, Mahra Begburn Futt. Her remains are reposing at her home where you're welcome to pay your respects. Removal tomorrow morning at 10:15 to St Murray's Church, Fawn for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. tonight. House private on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
By taking the bus, the train, walking or cycling whenever you can, you're playing a part in helping to reduce Ireland's transport emissions. To help you on your way, this year over €1.6 billion is being invested in public transport nationwide and over €1 million a day on our walking and cycling routes. This has helped more people than ever to access more sustainable transport, because wherever you're going, your journey counts. Visit gov.ie/your journey counts. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for texting in. Greg, our back roads and our main roads are in a mess and we have to drive in these conditions. When we go to these NCT test centres, our cars are turned down. Then more money for parts to fix it. Are roads going to be fixed or let them get worse? Where goes our car tax, they ask. Well, there is an issue with a high failure rate for NCTs here in Donegal. We're normally pretty high up that table and often considered if the state of the roads are part of the problem. If the Garda response is so great, why are the patrol cars not able to come out to Bridgend for the antisocial driving behaviour? Residents are sick of ringing the Gardaí and nothing changing. The response times, that's the whole purpose of that last conversation, and that example was given because of the new policing model. You could have guards, an hour away, half an hour away, who's to say? And those responsible for the antisocial behaviour probably know that too, or have spotters in certain roads. That's the potential issue. Could Highland get the minutes from last Monday's emergency council meeting? The sound was turned down on that meeting for some reason. Please and thank you. A few people text in relation to that. Not quite sure what that's all about. Because another caller says, hi Greg, if councillors' meetings are open to the public, why the decision to mute the webmaster regarding Saturday's protest, thus failing to uphold transparency and openness? Another, hi Greg, why did councillors vote against Saturday's protest? This was a shocking display of political bias and a dismissal of the concerns of Donegal communities. The chamber is unfit for purpose. Well, I don't believe they voted against it. And again, I'll insert myself into the crossfires here. It was a motion, I believe, that was passed that says Donegal is a welcoming place, but then those that protested on Saturday would say, well, that's not what we were protesting about. It was not people who are coming here regardless of their nationality or what have you. It's the IPAS centres and large groups of males going into certain areas. So there's varying views in relation to that. No one talking about the march on Saturday. Well, that was a few days ago now. I thought there was loads of conversation about it. Obviously, huge crowds. I'm not going to give a figure because you'll get shot one way or other. But I think the crowds matched the organisers' expectations, if I could put it like that. For the most part, passed off peacefully. In fact, it did. There was also a counter demonstration, and that seemed to be quite well attended as well. The main conversation I heard coming from it, if the truth be told, is that Letterkenny business is not happy with the lack of consultation. But, we wanted to speak about that stuff last week and no one wanted to speak to us because those were the obvious issues that I was expecting to come to the fore. I was thinking, right, there's 2 protests in Letterkenny. Surely someone's got something to say about this because what's the impact going to be on business? And nothing. No one wanted to speak. So I tried because I anticipated that this would be an issue. But there you are. It was covered on the news yesterday that businesses were upset there was a lack of consultation. But as I say, no one wanted to talk about it in advance. Regarding the lack of Garda resources, the government want crime to rise so that there is money. There'll be more court cases, therefore more people will be more money will be rolled out. I would love to know what revenue is generating through court cases. Well, guards aren't involved in that. Like guards are, our sons and daughters and cousins and partners and everyone. I mean, the guards aren't complicit in what you're saying they are. The guards don't want a rising crime. Why would they want their working conditions to be worse than what they are? There's a hosepipe ban in Kerrykill, Milford and surrounding areas. I live in Lochanure. On my road, there are 2 massive leaks. The leak has been ongoing for the past 3 weeks. The pipe is ancient and there's so many new houses up and around in the area. There is so much money in the council. Why is there no bigger pipe made? The west of Donegal is always forgotten. The water wastage is diabolical. Well, that's Uisce Éireann's responsible for that. The water is no longer the responsibility of Donegal County Council. And I've done so many stories over the years on this programme about water leakage, gallons and gallons of water being pumped away. The biggest abusers of the water system are leaks. A couple of years ago, it was 40-odd% of treated water was being lost. Not quite sure where the figure is now, but still, even if it was 25%, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? Right, now... Rehousing. Actually, I'll come back to that one in a moment. I just have to have a quick read through that. We're going to take a break for the bingo numbers. Good luck if you're playing today. Garda Grania Doherty will join me shortly with Community Garda information. Stay tuned.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 6th of May. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €600. The reference number is S12. It's game number 19. The numbers are 63, 64, 14, 61, 9, 19, 52, 81, 5, and finally 77. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Are you renovating your home or moving house? Either way, it may require a clear out. Before you fill your skip with items you no longer need, think circular and ask yourself, can the item be reused, given to family or friends, recycled, donated to charity, or even sold? So think before you skip it. Go to mywaste.ie for help and suggestions on how to do a clear out in an efficient and circular way. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Cupra. People tend to become obsessed. What is it? Where do I find it? How do I get one? And the new Cupra range will only increase that sense of desire, with power options from petrol and diesel to plug-in hybrid and full electric. Experience the new Leon, the new Formentor, and the new all-electric Born VZ. Available now with exclusive offers. That thing you feel? It's called obsession. Visit CupraOfficial.ie.
Your local Cupra dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21396.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91
And you're very welcome back to the programme. It's 10:15 on this Tuesday, the 6th of May. Time for the latest Community Garda information, and we're in studio with Garda Grania Doherty. Good morning to you, Grania.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your time. How are you keeping?
I'm doing the best, yeah.
Good stuff.
Can't complain.
Right, we'll get straight into the appeals if that's okay. And Garda's seeking the public's assistance in relation to an assault in Letterkenny.
Yes, we're appealing for witnesses to an alleged assault. This happened at Lower Main Street, Letterkenny, in the early hours of Wednesday, the 30th of April, in around midnight and 1 a.m. A man is reported to have been assaulted at that location. He was removed by ambulance to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. We wish to hear from anyone who was in the area around that time, who may have observed the incident, and also if anybody was in that area with a dash cam between those times, we're asking them to please make that footage available to us. As with other appeals, dash cam footage can be invaluable to our investigations. Gardaí may be contacted in Letterkenny on 9167 100 in relation to this matter.
Now, an assault on the Ramelton Road in Letterkenny.
Yes, so this happened quite near the bus station there on the Ramelton Road on Saturday the 3rd of May at about 4:40 p.m, so a busy time of the evening. We're hopeful that somebody may have observed what happened here, have dash cam footage. A man reported that three men, they exited a silver Volkswagen car. One of these men then proceeded to assault him. The Volkswagen then left with the three men on board in the direction of the shopping centre and to the car park there at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. An ambulance was called for the man. He had sustained injuries. Again, none of his injuries are believed to be life-threatening in nature, but we're appealing to anybody who may have observed this incident to contact us in Letterkenny on 9167 100. If anybody travelled in that area, in round the bus station, the station roundabout, the shopping centre car park, or on further out the Port Road, between 4:15 p.m. and 5 p.m. with a dash cam, we're appealing to them to make that footage available to us in Letterkenny.
And as you say, broad daylight, you would be hopeful, wouldn't you, that someone will have the information?
Of course, yeah, and quite a busy junction there at that roundabout, and even the bus station itself, there's usually a few gathered there, taxis or people waiting on buses, and we're hopeful that somebody would have observed what occurred here yet.
Okay, now we are going to criminal damage in Lifford.
Yes, this happened in the area of Crowhan Heights in Lifford, and it happened on Thursday the 1st of May in around 11:30 p.m. at night. A rock was thrown through the rear windscreen of a car that was parked up at a house in that area. The glass was smashed as a result. We're appealing to anybody again who may have observed any type of suspicious activity, people, vehicles in that area, to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167 100. Any relevant information may alternatively be passed on to the Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111, and that goes with all of our appeals today as well. That line can be contacted. If anybody again was in that area with a dash cam between 11:15 p.m. and 11:45 p.m. on that date, we would ask them also to please make that footage available to us.
Okay, and back to Letterkenny criminal damage.
Yes, this incident occurred in the area of Glencar Irish, Letterkenny, on Saturday the 3rd of May, between 8:30 a.m. and midday. So at some stage between those times, the windscreen of a parked car in that area was smashed. So residents in the area, if anybody travelled in that area and if they observed this incident, we're asking them to contact us in Letterkenny on 9167100. So any relevant information is sought and will be appreciated.
Okay, now I referenced this a little earlier on, I think, an incident of dangerous driving in Bridgend.
Yes, so we're investigating an incident of dangerous driving. This is believed to have occurred before 9 p.m. on Saturday, the 3rd of May, in the Bridgend area. The vehicle involved was a silver Lexus. We're appealing to any motorists who were in that area around that time and who observed this vehicle involved and the manner of the driving to make contact with Garda Info on 9320540. So if anybody was in around that area, the general Bridgend area, with a dash cam between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m, we're asking them to make that footage available to investigating Gardaí. I know a number of incidents recently have been circulating on social media in relation to the Bridgend area and driving incidents in that area. And, our appeal also extends to other incidents that anybody may have observed in Bridgend or in any area. We're always urging the public to please report any instances of poor driver behaviour that they witness to us, especially when the manner of driving is considered to be extremely dangerous. You can do so by contacting a Garda station of your choice. You can make a report via the Traffic Watch online reporting form. The Traffic Watch online reporting form is for non-emergency situations. So in an emergency, if the incident is considered to be highly dangerous, please do call 999 or 112. So just in relation to Traffic Watch, some people might not be aware that exists, so just wanted to give a quick overview of that. So Traffic Watch is a partnership with the public to improve driver behaviour and to reduce the number of road collisions and fatalities. Members of the public can report non-emergency traffic-related incidents using our online reporting form. That's on the Garda website, www.garda.ie. These online reports, they're then logged by Garda staff at the Garda Information Services Centre. They forward that report to the local superintendent in the area involved in the relevant community engagement area. That superintendent appoints a member of An Garda Síochána then to investigate the complaint that was made via Traffic Watch. This investigating member will then make contact with you, the complainant. They want to establish your version of events, to establish if there were any other witnesses to the alleged incident, to discuss the possible actions available and to take a written statement of complaint. So where an offence is believed to have been disclosed, a file will then be submitted by the investigating guard to the superintendent, who will decide what action, if any, is to be taken. So in all instances, the complainant should expect to be notified of the outcome of their complaint via Traffic Watch.
Yeah, and that's, obviously, that's if you witness any dangerous driving out and about. Obviously, it's there's a connection to what we've been talking about there, but it could be instances of driving in the middle of the night or whatever it might be.
Of course, and as well as, and just in addition to that, I would just like to say as well that sometimes when we make these appeals, and I notice it on the Facebook page to the public, sometimes maybe there's a misconception that, we always make an appeal for dash cam footage. It is a standard practice of ours to check all relevant CCTV. Sometimes I do notice people comment and saying, can they not check the local cameras? Can they not?
That's all part of it.
That's being done. That is being done behind the scenes. But sometimes, for whatever reason, a camera on a business might pick up the incident. It mightn't just clearly pick up the registration number. It might not clearly pick up the driver, their face. So dash cam footage is invaluable to
plus
us.
The fact, which you would prefer, one business's CCTV on its own, or one business's CCTV and two videos from dash cams. The more information you have, the better, because it's all about trying to secure, justice as well, convictions.
Yeah, and as well as that, a dash cam possibly may have picked up a separate incident of dangerous driving involving the same vehicle further in the road, that we weren't aware of. So all of these things are all vital to us. So dash cam footage is always of great importance to us. That's why we make that appeal.
Yeah, very rarely, I'm just going to be honest, I very rarely see e-scooters being used appropriately. They're either bombing up a main road at 60 kilometres per hour, which I think is, the driver themselves is leaving themselves at great peril, on footpaths, going the wrong way against traffic, in outside lanes, crazy stuff, really. I think, because you seem so blooming vulnerable on a scooter. So my experience so far, and this is not asking you to comment on what I see, is that everything you're about to talk about, I'm not seeing. if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no.
But because I know also there was a big crackdown nationally, not crackdown, but an awareness and enforcement operation nationally. So just to remind us, because we're a year in now, aren't we? What is the situation with e-scooters and their use?
Yeah, and unbelievably, I know this legislation has been in a while. It's been in from the 20th of May 2024, and I do speak to a number of e-scooter users myself, even when you see them times maybe parked up in town, and I do approach them and speak to them about the legislation. It's actually it's unbelievable how many of them genuinely are unaware of the legislation.
All right, they're just still batting around.
They just genuinely don't seem to understand what the legislation is. We're trying to improve that. We're trying, to educate people about the legislation. I just wanted to issue a reminder today about the law in relation to the use of e-scooters. E-scooters are a convenient mode of transport, but as an e-scooter user, you have a duty of care to yourself and to other road users. And you need to make sure that your e-scooter is road legal. So as stated already, the 20th of May, this legislation came in. So from that date, e-scooter users must be 16 years or older. They have to obey a speed limit of 20 kilometres per hour. They have to drive on the left-hand side. E-scooters are allowed in cycle or bus lanes and on local, regional or national roads. They have to have front and rear lights, a bell or audible warning device, reflectors and front and rear brakes on their e-scooter. And as we said there, it has to be kept in a roadworthy condition at all times. Obey signals given by a Garda or a school warden, and they have to follow the same rules of the road that apply to cyclists, including traffic lights, road signs and all types of pedestrian crossings. So e-scooter users, they cannot and they must not use footpaths, pedestrianised areas or motorways. They can't use or hold a mobile phone. They can't have a seat on their e-scooter. They cannot carry passengers or goods. They can't, this should really go without saying, use the scooter while intoxicated. And failure to adhere to road traffic legislation may incur a fine or a court summons. I know there's a number of fixed charge penalty notices in relation to all of the above. I do know that if you're stopped using an e-scooter while intoxicated, if you're charged with that offence, you face a fine of up to €2,000 in court for that. So personal protection equipment isn't compulsory, such as maybe a helmet, high-vis
Which is the same as bikes.
Which is the same as bikes, but of course it's strongly recommended, for their own safety and to be seen as well when they are on the road. Sometimes you see the e-scooter users going around with black, they're all in black and they're out amongst the traffic, and just put on a high-vis, make sure that you're visible, wear a helmet for your own safety. We will be holding an information stand in relation to e-scooters and the legislation in relation to them at Letterkenny Shopping Centre on Thursday the 15th of May between 5 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. We'll have information leaflets in relation to the law that applies to e-scooter use, and we'll also distribute a number of high-vis vests to e-scooter users. We would ask e-scooter users, please do call in to us on that date. Everybody's welcome to call in. We do have a certain amount of high-vis vests at the station as well, so if there are any e-scooter users out there who wish to pick up one of those, just call into the station as well to get one.
Because listen, we can only work with the law that's there, but like the profile of an e-scooter rider is actually smaller than that of a cyclist, because often they're standing side on, and the fact that they're in black and bombing up the road is you just wonder, you're just waiting for something to happen. Unfortunately, it's happened down the country, and we just have to best ensure it doesn't happen anywhere else. Okay, so that is the law. Those are the rules of the road. A couple of questions, if that's all right. Can a Garda scan your number plate of your vehicle and detect if you are taxed and insured?
Yes,
okay.
That's the answer to that. The short answer, I'll give you the long answer now, but yes, they can. So, and Garda Síochána uses the ANPR system, so that stands for Automatic Number Plate Recognition. This system is installed in all traffic core vehicles. So all vehicles fitted with these cameras can identify vehicles as being stolen, untaxed, uninsured and a number of other things, but we'll just go with the untaxed, uninsured.
And are they scanning all the time?
They're on all the time.
Okay.
So even if the traffic core vehicle is travelling behind you, it will pick up your plate, but it can pick up a number of plates at the same time.
It'll get an alert.
It will get an alert, yeah. So in addition to the ANPR system, so if you're out in a regular patrol car and the car isn't fitted with an ANPR system, Garda members we've all been issued with our own mobility device. So it has the traffic app, which is the same thing as the ANPR system, but you have it there in the palm of your hand. So anybody with the mobility system, which we all have, can type or scan. We can also scan the registration plate with that. And the app will instantly provide all relevant information about tax, insurance, NCT, everything in relation to the car. Any incidents that vehicle has been linked to in the past, collisions, everything in relation to that car will come up. And also, the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland provide us with motor insurance information on a daily basis. So that is on a, the information on the traffic app on our mobility device is updated every 24
so in other
hours.
words, if you transferred your insurance off your vehicle at 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. on a Tuesday and didn't take your disc out and thought you'd be okay, those days are gone now because the MIBI updates the Garda database and that would flag as being uninsured.
Of course, yeah. And we have access now to the policy number, to all named drivers. We have access to all insurance details now,
Well, it's not a bit wonder then we've seen such a dramatic fall off on people driving without insurance.
It has been a massive bonus to us.
Or something like that.
Yeah. It has. Massive detections are definitely up, since that legislation came in.
All right. Okay. Listen, that's that. Thank you very much indeed, Grania. Just point people in the direction of your Facebook page. It's a fantastic resource from An Garda Síochána. It's not for emergencies. It's worth clarifying that as well. It's about sharing information, what have you, and it's just on Garda Síochána Donegal, isn't it?
Garda Síochána Donegal. Can I just say something to you about that?
Of course.
I always have something extra to say that pops
you do.
into my head.
I thought, right, I'm going to mention the fact that it's not an emergency response page, and that'll do. But there's something else.
Well, you
and
knew
there's
that'd
more.
trigger me now to say something else about it. Just recently, and this has been ongoing for quite a while, but recently I do notice that people are trying to use the Garda Facebook page as a means to report incidents.
Yeah.
You can't report an incident via the Garda Facebook page, and we do have people sending in footage of driving that they believe to be dangerous or careless. We would have people reporting all sorts via the Facebook page, and there is an automated message that comes up there to let people know. But just to ask people, if they do wish to report a matter that they wish to have investigated, they do need to follow the proper channels and go
you
to
see
a Garda
that too
station.
on X, formerly Twitter. People tag in Garda Info and they believe that's their job done. But I mean, there are the channels that you have to go through.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. If you want to have a matter investigated, you need to contact Gardaí directly. Yeah.
Okay, Grania, as always, thank you so much for your time.
No
and we'll
problem.
chat to you real soon. Community Garda information there for this Tuesday, the 6th of May. Back live for you after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday.
If you're struggling with scalp and hair loss issues, Head Rush Hairdressing in Letterkenny are hosting a special event this week at HR2 in Letterkenny Shopping Centre with free consultations from hair loss expert Trina Holian. Also, scalp analysis using a 3D scalp camera, advice on wigs, toppers and extensions, and information about funding available for hair loss treatments. That's all at HR2 in Letterkenny Shopping Centre this Thursday, the 8th of May, starting at 4:30.
With over 1,000 TFI Local Link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI Local Link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
New this week in Home Store and More. All barbecues are 33% off. But better hurry, because when all our 33% off barbecues are gone, they're gone. Cook up a storm this summer. Check out our great range of gas and charcoal barbecues. Like our Mastercook Classic 505 burner gas barbecues, only $279.97. Or our adjustable grill charcoal barbecues, only $149.98. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Summer Sounds at Harvey's Point. Every Wednesday from May the 21st until June the 25th, a magical evening of music, song and dance from some of Ireland's greatest stars. Gourmet dinner, the warmest of welcomes. Don't delay. Book today. harveyspoint.com or 074 972 2208. That magical evening on the shores of Loch Esk awaits.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Donegal is a very welcoming place, but we are overrun. There aren't many refugees in Waterford, Tipperary or Cork. Everyone needs to take their share, believes the listener. Councillor Declan Meehan needs to consider his position after Saturday's deplorable speech talking about travellers and black ethnic minorities at the protest on Saturday. He also is calling his own constituents racist, absolutely disgraceful from a public rep. I didn't hear Councillor Meehan's speech, but look, hurty words and all that kind of stuff, is not what's be thrown around around about these things. There was a protest where people had their say. big crowds there. I've not mentioned a figure because, again, as I say, that just turns into a a mess. People of that view had their protest. There was a counter protest. They had their view, and they said their things. Highland Radio got a fair old touch in one of the protests, and that's just the way it is. People say what they want to say, and hopefully everyone felt that they exercised their freedoms in this country to be able to go out and demonstrate and protest on the streets. Sean joins me on the show now. Hi, Sean.
How you doing, Greg? Good morning.
I'm sorry to hear of the passing of a family friend, Sean. It's a difficult old time, and I do appreciate that this is time sensitive. So I suppose, there's no good time to talk about something like this, but you want to get that information out there now.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. So what happened, Sean?
Well, we had a, as you say, a family friend who was we're doing a little bit of work at her home place, and he was up helping. Unfortunately, he collapsed last week, and again, I don't want to mention names of people who are on site or days, I suppose, because it is a bit sensitive, as you'll know. But yeah, unfortunately, he collapsed, and we only live 3 to 4 minutes away from the hospital. And it was obvious that it was very serious early on, but the ambulance service unfortunately took 25 minutes where it should have taken 3 minutes. And as you know, then the person actually passed. So I want to be very careful that the paramedics who met it there when they're on site, it was phenomenal the work that they did. And my own dad was a paramedic for 30 plus years, so I hold them in the highest regard possible. But unfortunately, it seemed to be a bit of administration and a bit of people misusing the ambulance service, which led to this person's untimely death.
Yeah, and also to not be in any way insensitive, Sean, we actually can't determine what the outcome might have been if the ambulance had been in there in 3 minutes either. And as I say, I don't mean that in any way insensitive, but listen, we know every second counts in these instances as well. What do you believe what do you understand the delay to have been?
Well, we know it, and again, I won't mention names to implicate anybody, but we have it on very good authority that at that time when the ambulance was most needed, that there was repeat offenders, shall we call them, that were using the ambulance service, quote, as a taxi service. And you'll get this all around the country. You hear these stories, and you even see them on the TV channels about ambulance shows where they're going out to the regular customers who don't actually need an ambulance, but are choking up the ambulance service. And this is commonly known through paramedics that they're holding up the ambulance service just to get a lift into hospital, and where they'll sit in a waiting room for the day. So that was one sign of it, and we have that again on very good authority that happened on that day. But it's also the problem, and again, this is, I suppose, a bit of insider information in the fact that my dad was a paramedic, but over recent years, the bureaucracy I suppose, it's suffocation by administration. It's nobody signs up to become a paramedic to sign off paperwork and to sit in queues at A&E. They sign up to be a paramedic because they want to make a difference and they want to save people's lives, but they're not being allowed to do that if they have to sit in the queues 6 ambulances deep at A&E and wait till they get sign off to be released from the hospital. And again, that was another problem that day, that through the process of bureaucracy now, that particular ambulances weren't allowed to leave when they should have. My underlying thought here is, who are we as a society if we're not taking care of our most vulnerable people first? And that spreads far and wide. But when somebody's dying, and that should be priority number one.
Yeah,
there should be a better system there.
The issue you raise as it relates to people using, I can't determine who doesn't need an ambulance, if you know what I mean. But that being said, we did happen to have the head of the ambulance service in this studio not so long ago, and I did raise this issue with him. And I wish I'd listened back to it, but there are protocols in place to ensure that doesn't happen. This specifically came up in that conversation. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's not something the ambulance service is unaware of. You know, and they will triage those calls to best ensure. Now, if someone is gravely ill or potentially unstable, you can understand why an ambulance, and it's a problem with the hospital, while an ambulance might be stuck down there waiting to sort of hand them off to the doctors on site. But I mean, you are of your view, and that you've your opinion. You believe to know that information to be true.
Yeah, like 100%. Like we've been talking again. I know quite a few people in the ambulance service up and down the country. But if somebody's gravely ill, and I suppose this is the reason I made contact, because the show on Friday, and again, the Minister for Health was up on Thursday, and he was all clear, and there was plenty of roses, and there was, it was very positive news outlets. But of course, we had just experienced this previous, where we had to actually watch somebody die before we could start CPR and slip away, and then to find out later that somebody, was holding up the ambulance service. But so the plea that I'm making is to people who are using it and willingly using the ambulance service as a taxi, just to think twice, because unfortunately somebody died because of that.
Well,
but if
can you
need an
what is
ambulance
that?
for
What is?
emergency, then of course.
Just to explain, almost separate to this conversation, Sean. What is it you're alleging there in terms of someone using an ambulance as a taxi service? Just for those who may not know what you're. And I'm not talking about this specific case, right? But you say that this happens quite regularly. So what are you saying is happening there?
Well, it's not actually an emergency situation, but they want to get transport to the hospital because they think that they're, that they need medical attention ASAP, whereas it might not be for an emergency. It might be because they have a sore leg or some other ailment that doesn't require a specific ambulance. Like, with the greatest respect that we know there's people there that could actually get a lift into the hospital. And I think there's this old fallacy out there again, and this is, I've talked to plenty of paramedics in the last week since this happened. There's some fallacy out there that people reckon that if they get an ambulance, and again, I can go back 3 years, unfortunately, when my own dad passed and he was a paramedic. It took 2 hours for the ambulance to get 3 minutes away, so. But people think that they are gravely ill, or that they want to get seen quickly, and there's that fallacy that if you get an ambulance into A&E that you'll get seen quicker. Well, and again, you might get some paramedic or the head of the ambulance service to corroborate that it's nonsense. That's doing a disservice, I think, to the people who actually work in A&E. That if you land there and you're gravely ill, of course you're going to get seen as quick as possible and get the treatment that you need. But as a people, and again, I've heard this from the dispatchers, and that's another conversation, because the 2 times that I needed that ambulance service, that the dispatcher wasn't able to give me any medical guidance over the phone. But I was told by the dispatchers on the phone previous, when somebody else needed it, that I was like, well, I can get this person to hospital in 3 minutes. They're like, well, if you actually hold on and wait for the ambulance, you'll get seen quicker. Whereas I've been told an authority that that's actually nonsense, that if you get to hospital, you'll get seen as quick as you need to be seen.
Yeah, so, but I mean, we don't want to give advice. I mean, there are scenarios whereby you're far better off waiting where you are with CPR or what have you, rather than being scooped up and transported in a regular vehicle, what have you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I also appreciate that's your experience, Sean, and your views, and others might have had similar or very different experiences. Again, ultimately, though, I'm sorry for the loss of the family friend, and I appreciate you sharing that story with us. That is Sean there, 08660 25,000. Morning, Greg. I just wanted to say that I was in Dunlow yesterday. I found the public toilets in such a state. If we are trying to attract visitors to our beautiful county, it's definitely a big turn-off. I felt I needed to say something about this, and that's the old chestnut of public toilets and their conditions. Condolences to the family of the 13-year-old who died in a motor racing incident at the weekend. Can anyone explain how a 13-year-old was able to participate in a motor racing competition when you have to be 17 years old to get a license to drive a car? I don't know any of the circumstances as to what happened down there, and I'd just be until I would be fully familiar with all the information. I'd prefer not to, but I do. I mean, the young stars of motor racing all started in go-karting or what have you, and that's always been the case, and it's the case right now. People can go and use high-powered carts at a certain age, and that often is their story when they become famous. This is something that this girl was really incredibly passionate about, and unfortunately died in doing something that she loved greatly. Is every death avoidable? No. But I mean, does this open up a wider conversation about people of certain ages taking part in certain events? I don't know either. I don't know. It's just so raw. But anyway, if you have views on that, let me know. 086 60 25,000. I'm an Irish mum of 4 young children. I have land and I received a letter from the council that I'm not allowed to build on it for no good reason at all. We've been renting for 11 years. What's going on? It's a disgrace. Okay, I don't know. You can appeal potentially, but that's gutting for you. I'm sorry about that. I was travelling over the weekend and we were passed by motorbikes flying, weaving in and out of other cars. He must have been doing at least 100 miles per hour. I reported the incident to the Gardaí. They wanted my name and details. I didn't want to give my details. I remained anonymous so they wouldn't take the report. No wonder there are so many motorcycle deaths. But what are you to do? How can anything be proven without witnesses? I understand exactly where you're coming from, and this is often the issue here. But how could, if you're the witness to this dangerous driving incident, the only way to prove it happened is for you to say that it happened. Do you get where I'm coming from? How else could the Gardaí process that? And also, because say, for instance, I didn't like you, and I do love you, but say I didn't like you, I could just make some random report to the Gardaí that, I saw this Highland Radio texter doing 150 through Ballybofey. And if I were not to stand by my accusations, you could end up getting into trouble for that. So what do the guards do? If they have to have a witness statement to be able to progress it, I'd imagine, because I'd want that if I were the person being accused. All right, okay. Speaking of the roads, we're going to be talking about some madness on the main streets after these.
Get the moss problems in your lawn sorted with Mobacter, the natural product to remove moss from your lawn. Apply Mobacter now and forget, no raking necessary. Mobacter will feed your lawn for 100 days and will not stain your patio areas. Mobacter is the only moss remover approved by the Royal Horticultural Society. Mobacter Lawn Fertiliser for beautiful green, moss-free lawns from your local co-ops and garden stores. Check out mobacter.ie for all Viano products or find us on Facebook.
Attention Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. PD Bathrooms and Tiles are proud to unveil our newest and most stunning showroom in Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana. Located right opposite the Northwest Golf Course, we offer unbeatable quality and incredible value. For 30 years, we've been the experts in total refits, stocking and serving as the sole agent for many top brands. Visit us today and transform your space with the finest bathroom and tile solutions. Telephone 93 95 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles, where excellence meets value. Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
We love better value at Dunnes Stores. Pick up a large bottle of your favourite beer, like Heineken and Peroni 620ml to 660ml range, now just €3. And mix and match 3 for €5 on a range of tasty treats and soft drinks, like 7-Up Zero 2 litre and Tato Snack 6-pack. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Prices subject to deposit return scheme fees. Please drink sensibly.
The Chadwick Spring Sale is ending soon. Check out these further reductions. Save a whopping €50 on the BE pressure washer, now only €429. Save €49 on the Pro Plus self-drive petrol lawnmower, only €379.99. And save €10 on the K2 home pressure washer, now only €129.99. Visit your local branch or shop online for more savings at chadwicks.ie. Chadwick's.
Let's get it done!
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, continuing dry and sunny with some cloud building up in the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees. Now, we're joined on the programme by Councillor Paul Canning, because in Bridgend on Saturday evening, before 9 p.m, a very worrying sight with local people and all road users feeling threatened on their journey through the area. Paul, what are people reporting to you?
Yeah, listen, Greg, and I feel sorry for Grania and her team there, and the Gardaí. It's not an easy job for them to control this type of activity. But what happened in Bridgend on this last weekend, unbelievable, and nobody can condone that type of behaviour. It's dangerous, it's disruptive, it's frightening for anyone that is not involved in the activity. It would make the hair stand on the back of your neck when you would see it, But unfortunately, we've been trying to stop this activity for the last probably 30 years. Very little success, but when you see the comments and when you hear the people, it's near to impossible to police that, because you have a number of people that are watching out for the guards with their phones sitting at the ready to give the signal. Then you have a number of cars on stop-go duty, and they close off the road. And all in all, the duffing that takes place, the event itself, takes about 10 to 15 seconds, and then they're gone. And how can we expect the guards?
I don't know.
To police this?
Get the number plates.
But
get them in the courts. Get them off the road.
It's listen. You could have stages like in the event, maybe that an undercover Garda car happens to arrive on the scene. The participants scatter in about 10 different directions. The Garda car, then they decide to follow a particular car, but whilst he pursues the Garda, then must take on board the safety of himself, the safety of the general public, and the safety of the person that they're actually pursuing, which leaves the guards in a very difficult situation. And I know you've said about number plates, but and I know that number plates can be changed.
Yeah, but we can't live in a lawless society either. I mean, this is, and it's not only here, by the way, but that Bridgend roundabout, it is the it's a significant junction. It's right on the border, and not so long ago, not far from where they're doing that, there would have been very, very tight security. And it's only just up the road from that every single year the Gardaí and the PSNI do some sort of a road safety, talking about cooperation and what have you. We can't live in a lawless society where there's no solution to what we're seeing. These people are blocking off the road and diffing round and round the roundabout. And go ahead. Sorry, Paul.
I totally agree with you. But as I said, we've been trying, and I would be of the opinion. No, not everybody's opinion, but I would be of the opinion that we approach this type of behaviour from a different angle. Like, we look at options to facilitate this activity off-road, and we create sort of an environment where competition takes place, where well-kept vehicles is rewarded, and those that break the law cannot compete. So all of a sudden, then the people that are involved are nearly, watching themselves. And anybody with penalty points are penalised. And then at that point in time, when you have that participation, we get a strong participation from the Garda Síochána, and they create a friendship and maybe an understand between the local Garda and these competitors. Like years ago, Greg, when we would have been playing a bit of Gaelic or a bit of soccer, we always had a number of Gardaí in the team where you sort of formed a strong friendship that still exists today. I remember in my own case, where a certain guard, after a football match, getting on to me in the dressing room, he said if I could go as hard on the pitch as I do on the road. So he wanted me to slow down on the road, and he wanted me to speed up on the pitch. And that then I will respect to him that it worked. Now, I didn't speed up too much on the pitch, but I slowed down on the road. But I think we need to get into that place. And thankfully, in relation to Bridgend roundabout, that nobody was injured or hurt. Like, but I think we do need to, because we have tried and we have failed and we have tried and we have failed. And I know, like the number plates and watching out and watching that, but these cars can be changed overnight.
Yes, but
overnight,
that's criminality. Like, you know, the thing that's most
I know
valuable
that.
to these people are these vehicles. Surely we can police it to the point whereby we can identify the vehicle, and then we can issue the penalty points. They'd be banjaxed for insurance and take the vehicles from them. A back wheel flying off one of these yokes and taking someone's head off on that roundabout, we would not be long coming up with a solution, and it wouldn't be a nicely tarred diffing track for them somewhere. I'm all for people enjoying their cars, right? But this is on public roads, and it's been going on for years, and I find it impossible to imagine that we can't come up with a policing solution to it.
Yeah, well,
you're a local rep. It's not your fault. I'm not having a go at you. We're chatting really about a problem out of both of our controls, but you know where I'm coming from.
I definitely know where you're coming from, but it is very, very, very difficult to police because it takes so little time. You know, as I say, 10 to 15 seconds, over and done and away, and they are already in a moving vehicle, and the guards will be coming from a static vehicle, and if they're driving about because of technology, etc., with phones. It's near to impossible, and unfortunately, what happens is they disappear, and they're gone for 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks, and then they come back out again. And given the fact that the march that you were earlier on about, the Gardaí were all deployed there, and obviously they can't work 24/7, so they'd have been off. So these guys would have been aware of that as well, you know. So I honestly think that we do need to sort of bring them into a space that we are in conversation with them. We had up beside you there, Leslie O'Donnell had a workshop that was funded through the Peace 4, and it involved the Gardaí and it involved the judge at the time, and it was a very successful workshop that brought these young people, and you know well about it, you know. And I think that's the space we need to get into, or we'll be still talking about this in 30 years' time.
All right.
That, you know, how do we stop this? But I think we need to just bring them and start working with them.
Okay. Councillor Paul Canning, thanks for your time. Moira, you're a local resident, member of the local residents group. This is happening on your doorstep. We see the videos popping up every now and again, but this is nothing new. What would you like to see done?
I would like to see the Donegal County Council getting more involved in this, because driver education, or, you know, talking about car insurance or car tax, most of these drivers don't have that. These are buying wheels for their cars at €10, £10. You know, it's not something that, oh, they have a car and it's tax and insurance. These drivers don't. And we have two issues of the deaf drivers, is what I'm going to call them. You know, one group is an All-Ireland organised group, which we will see appear during the Donegal rally. They'll all travel to Donegal for that, and this will go on every night when the rally's on. But unfortunately, our main problem is the local drivers that are driving from Derry, Buncrana and Letterkenny and other parts of Donegal, and they're competing against each other on the road. Now, this isn't something that just happened this year. This has gone on for as long as I can remember, for the last 25 years here. Now, we didn't have peace during lockdown. That was the only time. And the people that are competing in this aren't school age where we can educate them in school or take their driving license off them. Most of them don't even have one. And there's females in the cars, and, you know, it is a competition mode. And then, on the other hand, you have some of the people turning up that are in the cars that are drunk and on drugs. You know, and it's not just an issue for the Garda. That's an issue for the council to put stuff in place for us, like speed ramps, bollards, whatever. But there is other ways of starting it, getting it sorted out first. And the Garda have been based in Burnfoot at night. The Garda station shut, but there's a car there. It's too far away. It is too far away. Several times going round the corner at night, I had to jump in the hedges, had to pull my car in, so this is an ongoing situation. There's children in our street that are at the age they're allowed to walk their shop, but unfortunately they're not allowed because it's too dangerous, because it happens every other night.
All right, Maura, it's a tough situation. I just want to squeeze in before 11 Sinn Féin Councillor Terry Crossan. What's your view about more facilities for these drivers? That the Gardaí really, there's not much they can do. That seems to be the mood music this morning.
Yeah, Greg. Well, look, while Paul is a very good friend of mine, I totally disagree that these guys should be facilitated in any way at all. I think the Gardaí need to be more proactive. There needs to be greater surveillance and intelligence gathering, because they have an network of communication. They're operating close to the border. There should be greater cooperation between the Gardaí and the PSNI to ensure that there can be no quick escape across borders, and there needs to be more intelligence gathering and cooperation, because this is absolutely getting out of hand and needs to be stopped.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Councillor Nicholas Crossan. You also heard from Moira and Councillor Paul Canning.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it is 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Gardaí are investigating an alleged daylight assault in which a man was set upon by another man. It's reported to have happened on the Ramelton Road in Letterkenny at approximately 20 to 5. It's said that 3 men exited a silver Volkswagen and then 1 man attacked the victim. They then left in the car travelling towards the shopping centre, while an ambulance was called for the man who'd received non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, a man was taken to hospital after he was allegedly assaulted in Letterkenny on Wednesday last. It's reported that the incident occurred on Lower Main Street between midnight and 1 a.m. The victim's injuries are believed to be non-life-threatening in nature, and Gardaí are asking for those with information or dashcam footage to come forward. A Donegal TD has confirmed that the Strand Hotel in Ballyliffin is no longer under consideration to be used as an iPass centre. The owners of the hotel, which has been closed since 2022, applied to Donegal County Council for a planning exemption to turn it into temporary accommodation for refugees. Deputy Patrick McLaughlin expressed concern over the plans to government officials, who later confirmed they did receive an offer of accommodation in respect of the hotel, but the property is no longer under consideration. Over €33,000 has been raised for the Doa Famine Village in wake of a fire that destroyed 2 sections of the tourist attraction. Owner Pat Doherty says he's still in shock. The blaze broke out at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and it's suspected that it was caused by an air compressor in one of the displays. The suicide rate has dropped to a 20-year low. Ireland now has the 11th lowest rate of suicide in the EU, with preliminary data for 2023 recording 302 deaths. There was a 28% drop in deaths by suicide between the year 2000 and 2021, the most recent year with finalised figures. And finally, government buildings were evacuated for around an hour this morning following what's believed to be a technical glitch. The fire alarm went off at around 9 o'clock, leading to a number of emergency vehicles attending the scene. However, it's believed it was caused by an IT issue which triggered the fire alarms. That's all for now from the news desk. Back again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Donna Marie, and we'll be back with more after the break.
If you haven't tried Sweeney's Hotel Bakery and Pizzeria yet, now's the time. Taste freshly made macaroons and baked goods from our bakery. Enjoy free delivery on all pizzeria orders over €20 within 2 kilometres of Sweeney's. Sweeney's Hotel Bakery and Pizzeria. Baking fresh, delivering happiness.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car?
With Sheehan Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out SheehanConleyCars.com or call in to us at Sheehan Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
FBD doesn't stand for Friendly Business Ducks or Freelance Beatbox Department. FBD stands for support. We support businesses and communities across Ireland. Visit your local branch to talk to your FBD insurance team and see how we can support your business. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At Restex Beds, we are celebrating 50 incredible years in business. And we are introducing our brand new Glenveigh mattress, comfort that's as legendary as our half-century legacy. Experience 50 years of bedding excellence at Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Restex Beds. Leave the rest to us.
Charge into summer with TUI. Choose from a beach cruise or city break or Mexico flying direct from Dublin. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Hey everyone, it's Sinead Black here, and I'm excited to invite you to my CD launch at the Plaza Ballroom, Buncrana on Wednesday, the 7th of May. I'll be joined by a full live band and special guests Mick Flavin, Glory Tira contestant Jack Larry, and my dad Alex Black. Tickets are just €15, pay at the door, so bring your friends and your dancing shoes along on the 7th of May to the Plaza Ballroom, Buncrana. I can't wait to see you then.
VHI Multitrip Travel Insurance is your passport to peace of mind. Lost baggage in Beijing? Hotel cancellation in Cavan? Sprained ankle in Auckland? You're covered wherever you go. Buy VHI Multitrip online today. Terms and conditions apply. VHI Healthcare DAC, trading as VHI Healthcare, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collins and Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multitrip Travel Insurance.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. My apologies to Councillor Terry Crossan. I think I might have referenced him as Councillor Nicholas Crossan. My apologies, Terry. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Bobo says on YouTube, Greg, let's add to your justification for a young girl of 13 is okay to drive to the ones doing the donuts. Maybe the ones doing the donuts are the future famous racing drivers. Well, firstly, I don't want to weaponise the awful recent death of that 13-year-old, but it was an organised event in a controlled environment with safety measures that obviously we're talking about someone passing. And that will be investigated. I am sure that is obviously very different to probably fellas in their 20s closing down roads and diffing on very busy roundabouts. But I understand your point of view. Leo, Legio, is it Leo? I beg your pardon. It's Legio, is it?
Yeah, it's close. Legio.
I'd prefer to go with exactly what it is, Leo. Thanks so much for your time. Leo
No problem,
Legio is Vice President of the Irish Road Victims Association. And you represent, people who know all about the dangers on the roads, and we'll get to that in a moment. We are speaking in the context of, what we're seeing quite regularly is just dangerous driving, diffing on busy roundabouts, roads effectively being closed down in daylight hours for people to take part in this really dangerous driving. And we don't seem to be able to get a handle on it, Leo.
No, because the reason we're not getting a handle is because we're not treating it. It's not being treated as a real crime. As far as we're concerned, people are getting slaps on the wrist, suspended sentences, punitive fines, and ridiculous 3 penalty points, so they're getting 4 chances every time they're caught. And until we start getting tough, and I mean tough, these fatalities and serious injuries are going to continue, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that leads us into our more general conversation. The Irish Road Victims Association are calling for a drastic change in relation to punishment. What are you calling for?
Well, as regards to speeding, we want graduated speeding penalties brought in. The more you speed over the speed limit, the more severely you're punished. Higher penalty points and bigger fines. mobile phones use. Basically, double penalty points across the line is the only way it's going to solve this problem.
So effectively, people might see it as having 4 chances now. 3 points would jump to 6 points for using your phone.
Now you have 1 chance, and that's it. If you caught a second time, you're off the road.
And we see an awful lot of horror stories of the type of activity people get up to with their phones and screens behind the wheel, Leo.
Yeah, you might have people coming on sticking up for people using the phones, but if you're giving out about speeding, they'll come up on mobile phones. Distracted driving is worse. If you talk about something else, the drink driving, mobile phones. So everybody knows mobile phones is one of the biggest killers on the roads. So let's treat it as a crime, and you're endangering people's lives.
And in terms of
people,
and in terms of speeding, are you saying so? If you were doing 88 in an 80, 98 in an 80, 120 in an 80, that the points might be 3 points for one, 5 and then 7 or 6 and then 9 or whatever
because at the moment now, if you're caught 5 kilometers over the speed limit, you're penalised the same as if you're 80 kilometers an hour over the speed limit, which there's no justice in that. And Shane Ross tried to bring this in years ago, and it was almost going to come through. Then there was a change of government, and it's been thrown in the back boiler. Like, we can't see the point in someone a couple of kilometres an hour over the speed of being fined as someone going double the speed limit, especially in 50 kilometre an hour zones. They should be severely punished.
Yeah, and we don't have to guess of the consequences of speed, because we know, but if it's a pedestrian, a cyclist, or another vehicle, as the speed increases, the risk of serious injury and then, of course, death, we know what the story is there. We don't have to guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done talks for the Lifesaver program, and the guards show videos of a car traveling at 65 kilometers an hour and hitting someone, and by just reducing it by 5 kilometers an hour, the reaction time is increased, and that person only suffered minor injuries. So even a reduction of 5 kilometers an hour, it makes a huge difference.
Why? I mean, obviously, we hear these calls from the likes of yourselves at the Irish Road Victims Association and other groups. Why do you think the general population aren't screaming out for something like this? Because, any of us could be the victim of this at any time. Why do you not think this sort of... Do you think it's the public don't want for them to be punished for any of their indiscretions, or why don't we sort of as a population not make the connection between what you're saying and saving lives to the point whereby the government couldn't resist doing it?
It's something I just don't understand myself. Like, there will be people out there complaining about the way people are driving on the roads, but they won't speak up about it. They need to speak up about it. Like, we do talks with transition year students, and we try to encourage them. Speak up, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, tell them it's not right to be using your mobile phone. Tell your parents or family. Don't be afraid to tell people. Don't be afraid to get out of the car if one of your friends is acting a maggot. But I don't know what's the mentality of the people.
I think it's that we don't want to be inconvenienced ourselves. Like, let's say, for instance, the population generally were prepared to give their driver's license to Facebook. There would be no under 18s exposed to harm on the internet because it'd be very easy to police. And if we all kind of wanted, no fatalities or to reduce them as much as is possible, of course, we would all go, right, okay, listen, we'll all back the Irish Road Victims Association with this. But I think once the shock of a recent event or something dies down, Leo, we kind of go, right, okay, I don't really want to risk that being me until the next tragedy happens, and then maybe, people might think twice at that point. Maybe it's just a human condition, I don't know.
I think it is a human condition. It's just, I don't know, like you said, when there's a couple of fatalities, it's on the news, it's in the papers and on the radio for a day or two, but after that, it's forgotten with. But the families that have gone through that, it's not forgotten with them. That stays with them for a lifetime.
We often talk about enforcement, Leo. You know, if such a measure were to be introduced, the penny would drop quite quickly because there's been, you know, I think a pretty big level of detection in the first 3 months of this year. Is this in relation to the 6,000 people fined? Is this in relation to speeding, dangerous driving across the board?
I think so. Yeah, you see every week, every time the guards put out a warning, there's still people flaunting it. They're not afraid. And so the detection rates are, look, everybody knows there's not enough enforcement. But even with the enforcement, the drivers are not afraid. They're not afraid of getting caught because they know they're not going to get caught. Like I said, when they are caught, they're going to get a little fine and 3 penalty points.
The only thing is like
we need proper deterrence, and the proper deterrence are not there at the moment.
The only other flip side of it is, Leo, and I'm just platforming this. I don't know what the right thing to do is necessarily, but like, say for instance, I've only ever had penalty points twice. Not only, that's a lot, right? But it was, I think I was down in Galway and I wasn't used to Galway, and I did 56 on a 50 up the road and then 56 on a 50 down the road, and I thought it was 80, right? So I thought I was actually being a good driver. That would be me off the road for a year potentially. I think that's kind of what worries people as well.
I suppose, but you have to be careful. Like I said, if you're caught with those 6 penalty points, like you're looking for speeding, like if it's graduated penalty points. If you're only a couple of kilometres an hour over the speed, you're not going to get 6 penalty points.
Yeah, I was supposed to. Yeah, you did say that. All right, okay.
It'll be graduated.
All right, let's see what the public think, Leo.
The likes of mobile phones, there's absolutely no excuse for it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. There's that.
Drink driving the same.
Yeah. Okay. And I was just trying to pick out reasons as to why there might be some resistance to this, Leo, and I was trying to give my own, honest sort of example. But yeah, I take your point.
Yeah.
Okay, Leo, thank you so much for your time. That's Leo Ligio, who's the Vice President of the Irish Road Victims Association. They're calling for penalty points to be doubled to crack down on dangerous driving. Gradient increase of points for speeding. And pretty much zero tolerance as well in relation to mobile phone use. Is that something you would vote for? Let's say it was put out for a referendum. And if it isn't, why not? 086 60 25,000. Let's see if we can sort of get a listenership consensus there. Re the diffing and all that kind of stuff. There's one of those cars I've seen on numerous videos on Facebook driving absolutely recklessly. I'm at a loss to figure out what the fun is in that type of thing. And although the cars being used for diffing are impossible to identify, as in general they're out of the state cars, number plates are usually fake and in many cases no number at all. But we've heard about this. How are the cars getting there? Like I had a car to NCT and I had a car to NCT and I would have been covered to drive it with my insurance policy if it was taxed, and the tax had elapsed. And I didn't want to, I did the right thing, but sometimes you feel like an idiot, I didn't take the car to the NCT and then ended up having to rebook it and everything because I made a mistake. Because I was afraid that if I drove from home to the NCT centre, well, A, I'd be breaking the law, right? But B, I wouldn't do it anyway because I'd be afraid of getting caught. Am I naive here? Because we're accepted that these cars might have fake plates, they might not have insurance. How do they get to there? Are they coming in on flatbeds? Are they spotted coming in on flatbed trailers, or can they just drive around and they're immune to the number plate recognition software that we're told that's everywhere? Because those of us that are, for the most part, law compliant are afraid of getting caught. Well, how can these people and people accept that they've just got no risk of being caught whatsoever, that they can just do it? Tell Paul Cannon to cop himself on. There can't be two laws. Tell the guards to wake up. They should be sitting at the Manor roundabout catching people 5 kilometres over the speed limit, and they should be able to apprehend these people. Councillor Canning, you are a mile out. These thugs don't want to compete. They want the thrill of the chase. Another dangerous driving is happening in Drumbarna between Newton and Manacunningham every weekend. It is a small junction. We've small tractors that are up and down the road. Someone's going to be killed. If the Gardaí were able to attend the protest on Saturday, surely they can police the roads. Morning, Greg. If they can bring in extra guards, riot units, unmarked guards, cars and a helicopter for a peaceful protest, then surely they can get a few extra unmarked Garda cars to catch these dangerous drivers, which is a number one priority to make the roads safe. And I get where you're coming from, but sometimes, there are specific policing operations that you're going to see more resources. But an interesting connection. It lasts a lot longer than 5 minutes, the diffing. They can be there up to half an hour a night. I see it many nights. It's going on for years, which is crazy, that people just can do whatever they like and not fear being caught. What does he think about tailgating? That was just coming for our last caller. I'm sure he believes tailgating is dangerous. Right, back with more shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Get ready, Donegal. The Letterkenny Motor Show is back, happening Saturday 10th of May from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the ATU campus. See the latest new cars and vans from 11 local dealerships showcasing 20 top motor brands all in one place on one day. Brought to you by your local franchise motor dealers, it's a day to celebrate driving, style and innovation. With entertainment and fun for the whole family, this is one show you don't want to miss. Proudly supported by First Citizen Finance, Letterkenny Chamber, the Society of the Irish Motor Industry and Britain Insurance. Visit letterkennymotorshow.ie for full details.
Looking for a technology partner to help you reach your business goals? With cybersecurity solutions from Vodafone, your business can hack off the hackers. And with our collaboration tools like Microsoft 365, your business can bring the team together, wherever they are. Keeping your business secure and productive. Make technology work for you with solutions and support from Vodafone. Search Your Business Can today.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like 3 for €10 on selected barbecue meats. Coca-Cola 12-can packs, €6 plus deposit. And the Ned Sauvignon Blanc, €10. Enjoy easy, simple prices weekly on your favourite products. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Bus Éireann is looking for professional driving contractors with coaches, minibuses and taxis to join Ireland's school transport scheme. So be a pillar of your community, help steer our children to a brighter future and start your day with happy smiling faces. Sign up at busaireann.ie/contractors. Bus Éireann operates the school transport scheme on behalf of the Department of Education.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Time now is 20 minutes past 11. Now, if you're on social media at all, you would be aware of speculation or claims that the Strand Hotel in Ballyliffin is to be turned into an iPass centre, and many people seem opposed to this. Amongst them is Sinn Féin Chief Whip, Deputy Padraig McLaughlin. Good morning, Padraig. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you.
So just to be absolutely clear, are you satisfied that there is no intention for an iPass centre at the Strand Hotel in Ballyliffin? You've been told that, but just the way you phrased a post at the weekend, are you satisfied that there is no plans or will for an iPass centre at the Strand Hotel?
No, Greg, I wouldn't be 100% satisfied. Unfortunately, this department have treated communities across Donegal very badly. I believe that they have again and again just taken advantage of buildings where people, have sought to make profits rather than what the best place for asylum seekers would be or the best place in terms of communities and amenities. So they've got this wrong again and again. So, the concern right now is that the owners of the Strand Hotel are applying for a planning exemption. They're using emergency legislation that the government brought in, Section 5 legislation. So they're applying for that. There's a further information note from Donegal County Council. I understand that's around sewerage infrastructure for the hotel. But I would expect that they will get this planning exemption. And the issue for me is if they get planning exemption cleared, does that mean they'll get a contract? So I need absolute certainty on that. I emailed the department officials last Friday and I asked them to be very clear, if this gets a planning exemption, will they give it a contract? I want absolute certainty so the community know where they stand.
Just in relation to that, the overwhelming majority of the Section 5s that I can find, and I haven't been able to find one in relation to this property, the council has rejected them. So why are you of the feeling that the council might grant an exemption, a planning exemption, in the case of this property?
Well, it used to be a hotel. It would look at the occupancy rates that they would have had back then. So, I mean, you can't be certain. The council would be looking at fire safety. They'll be looking at health and safety in terms of these applications. Quite a few of them have been successful, but it's important for listeners to know this, that just because you get a planning exemption for an iPass centre doesn't mean you're going to get one. I know that Donegal County Council now have a policy, and they've conveyed this to the government, that Donegal has taken more and hosted more centres for Ukrainian refugees and asylum seekers than any other county in the state per head of capita, even though we have a humanitarian crisis with defective blocks. And I think that's just wrong. I think it's a failure in government policy. So I'm very clear there should be no more iPass centres in Donegal. That's actually the policy of Donegal County Council, and they should listen to our council and to our people.
But it's the council that decide whether a Section 5 would be granted or not. And again, I'd ask, given the policy that you've just stated, I'm confused as to why you believe then that the council would go against their own policy and grant this Section 5.
Well, you see, it's two separate matters. So, and it's unfortunately planning is based on government legislation.
Right.
That's what they have to adhere to. The government legislation around iPass centres is, in my view, a low bar. It's emergency legislation. I wonder, is it really still necessary at all? So you see an awful lot, a fair few people have applied for this. It is opportunistic. There's a lot of money in this for the people who apply for it. And unfortunately, I mean, in recent years, it has been based on wherever a building was available, they seem to have just taken it. I mean, in Donegal, there was no examination of was there enough school places? Was there enough doctor places? But no reflection at all of the humanitarian crisis we have. And you know it, Greg, better than anybody, what we are dealing with. People can't find alternative accommodation. People are in awful situations. A lot of people are holding back on the remediation of their homes because they do not have alternative accommodation. So in that type of an environment, it's just wrong to proceed. So you have two separate things. You have the application, which is based on government legislation, so the council's hands are tied to a large extent. But then there's the policy. And in fairness to Donegal County Council, when it comes to the policy, my understanding is they're not recommending any more iPass centres be located in Donegal.
Yes, but they did recently grant Section 5s to premises in Letterkenny, for an example. So Section 5s are still being granted, and presumably it's because they have to track the legislation. So to be absolutely clear, the wording from the community engagement team was that they were offered this accommodation, but it's no longer under consideration. Now, that doesn't tell us that they didn't say, if you can get the right clearance, the right planning clearance, we can reconsider it. Is it that lack of certainty that concerns you, that this talks of nothing to the future? It talks about one offer and where, that offer stands now, but at the same time, the wheels are still turning in terms of potentially getting an exemption for this property, and it might be revisited. So are you taking a cautious approach at this point then, as I've outlined there?
Yeah, I am. And Greg, I mean, I've been very critical of the department and the government, how they've handled this in Donegal over recent years. There's a lot of distrust in the community. I mean, I relayed, whenever I got that email, and I got it weeks ago, I relayed that to concerned people in the community, and I asked them to circulate it widely in the community. But the feedback is that there's still a fear that if the exemption is granted, that this could go ahead. So I'm now looking for absolute certainty, no doubt about it, that they're not going to use this as an iPass centre. By the way, I've sought clarification in relation to buildings in Buncrana and Letterkenny recently, and in those circumstances too, the department came back and ruled out iPass centres. I think there was about 3 different buildings that we asked about. So there's a number of buildings where, in recent responses I'm getting, they don't appear to be going ahead with iPass centres, even though the people who own those buildings would like them to be iPass centres, clearly to make profit over the heads of the community. So, there have been assurances recently, but I'm afraid there's a lot of distrust, and people need absolute guarantees at this stage.
Okay. I just wonder why there hasn't been a decision made as it relates to the iPass centre, because there was a decision due on that on the 23rd of February, which is just confusing me a little bit. And yet it's blank, if you know what I mean. The space where a decision to be issued is blank in relation to that development. So I'll just read this out for the benefit of the listeners. Mark Crossan care of Urbanark Limited. Use of the existing hotel as temporary accommodation for international protection applicant Strand Hotel, Shore Road, Ballyliffin. The request was made on the 27th of the 1st. A decision was due on the 23rd of the 2nd, and there is no decision in relation to that as of yet. So I don't know what that tells us.
Yeah, I spoke to a senior planner in the last number of days, late last week, and they confirmed that a further information was sought. My understanding
on the 11th
actually
of February. Yeah, that's correct. That was they sought that on the 11th of February.
And that has been, the further information has been submitted, and they're currently considering the matter. But I would be concerned because the emergency legislation and the fact that it has been a hotel, I would say there's a fair chance, not certain, but a fair chance they'll get it. But what I need is certainty from government that they're going to take the guidance from Donegal County Council. They're going to listen to the view of the community. This is a community absolutely traumatised by defective blocks. Dealing with a humanitarian crisis that has actually hosted more,
Let me ask you though, how have we got close on 20 applications in Donegal for iPass centres? Often from companies down the country or companies with one person listed as a director or something. What is happening on a national scale that there could be one company with 5-6 applications for exemptions in right across Donegal? I'm not expecting you to be able to answer that if you know what I mean, but that's like me applying for 6 iPass centres in Kerry or Leitrim.
Well, what happened in recent years is that business people networked together. They looked to secure buildings and properties in Donegal and around the country, but particularly in Donegal. And it was successful. They made a hell of a lot of money on the back of this. And obviously in Donegal, you would have more hotels maybe struggling than other parts of the country for obvious reasons. And, our tourism and economy doesn't have the same performances down in the country. So there's a lot of that. And, we've been asking questions. Like, for example, Matt Carthy is our spokesperson, deals with all of these matters, TD from Monaghan. And he had asked the minister, have they carried out a review? I mean, have they reviewed all of these decisions? Have they looked at the business cases for these decisions? What level of interaction was there with communities? And they actually haven't carried out a review. Now, the good news is Matt Carthy will chair the Justice and Home Affairs Committee in the Oireachtas. We also, Sinn Féin, have the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. And I can tell you, we will be bringing these people before the committees. We will be holding them to account because there was absolute fortunes of money made over the heads of communities, and it is utterly wrong how it's been handled.
There's one company based out of Santry in Dublin with a number of applications here in Donegal in random places, and it's just where's the connection? But you've outlined it there. Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin, thanks very much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That's Sinn Féin Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin. I'm not satisfied that it is a fait accompli. A caller says, Greg, iPass centres are exempt from planning. They can seek an exemption. They aren't exempt. There's been probably 12, 13 applications for an exemption to planning to Donegal County Council this year that have been rejected. So that's demonstrably not true at this time. Catherine Dillion is a representative of the residents and businesses in the Ballyliffin Clonmany area. Listening on there too, Deputy McLaughlin. Catherine, it's not certain that this hotel won't end up being an iPass centre. That's the view of the deputy there.
Good morning. My name's Catherine Dillon. I am a concerned resident of Ballyliffin. Ballyliffin, from speed limit to speed limit, has 96 people. 50% of them are elderly. The Strand Hotel, which is owned by Mark Crossan, can house up to 170 people. Our own residents are living in caravans due to Micah. They have no homes in Inishowen. Sorry, I'm just
No,
nervous.
listen, Catherine, stay away. I know you're probably reading, and it's sometimes you can lose where you're at, but we'll get your points out there. So just take a breath, and I'll ask you a couple of questions, if that's all right, Catherine, because I know it's an important issue for the local area, and you have a big responsibility. Further information was sought from the owners in relation to sewers and what have you, and I think you can talk of a precedent in relation to this with concerns about the capacity of the sewer.
Totally. The sewage system in Ballyliffin is not fit for purpose. The internet access, also the water, as we all know, Donegal County Council and Irish Water know all about the amount of water bursts that we have in Ballyliffin and the Clonmany area. The Strand Hotel, I know Mark Crossan in his application, it was actually said that the sewage would be okay because it would just be running as a normal hotel. The Strand Hotel was never full to capacity 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It would have been maybe full at weekends. So it's going to be a huge strain on the area. And I just feel that, it's just not fit for purpose.
And Catherine, whilst the deputy has got an assurance that it's not being considered, I think the caveat there is it's not being considered at this time, because obviously the process to try and use it as an iPass centre is continuing. So really, as residents, you don't have any guarantees at this, and it would be foolish for us to think otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned a letter that was dated in February. That has actually been updated on the 24th of April, 2025. So that's, there's a discrepancy there. The local people are just not, they're hearing, mixed information from different sources and social media. Oh, it's great, this is not going to happen. Guys, this is going to happen if we don't do something about it. Again, it's our small village. It's just too small. We have one shop and one chip shop with a couple of schools in the area that are full to capacity already. There's no bus services, with a chemist in Clonmany and a bigger shop, and that's all we have in this area. What are all these people going to do? Whether it's 40, whether it's 140, there's only a couple of buses that come through Ballyliffin a day. It's just not feasible.
And you're of the view, I don't think it would matter then, given what you said, what the makeup of the population might be. Often to mitigate this situation, people might say, well, it's mostly families. But you're saying, given the resources that's in the local area, even if it were families, that the resources aren't there to sustain a doubling of the population potentially.
Absolutely, and we're not talking about doubling. We don't know how many people will be brought into this area, and if it happens in this area, it's going to happen in Carndonagh, it's going to happen in Malin, it's going to happen in Glenealy, it's going to happen all over. There's not stopping buying a house and putting 20 people in a house. It's just, again, I'm talking about Ballyliffin.
I know the point you're making. That you're what you're saying is this could set a precedent effectively.
Yeah, and I want people to know, nobody will call me a racist. We're not talking about race. That's not up for discussion. It's the amount of people that is coming into our village. We cannot cope. Ballyliffin cannot cope with that amount of people coming in. I'd like to make a point as well about the letter from the community engagement team. It says on their site, the team does not have a role with the procurement of premises and allocation of new arrivals. I'm confused as to how they don't have a right, how they don't have a right saying who's coming in or who's going where. We actually found out during the week from a hotelier in Dublin, they're not housing families in hotels. They're housing families in homes that we have lack of in Ballyliffin, Clonmany and the whole of Ireland. They're housing single men in hotels, and that's what would be coming into our area.
Okay, well, I know there are some iPass facilities here in Letterkenny. It is a mix, but I do take your point. Look, there's, 1,800 iPass people in this county at the moment, and 700 are children. So, what's the... Okay, listen, we can't get answers because this area this whole area, this space is It's a bit cloak and daggers. You know, the days of local areas being consulted are gone. They got rid of that because of pushback. So we'll continue to try and find out answers, Catherine.
Can I just ask one question? At some stage, you know, it's been said that this is not going to become an iPass centre. We want confirmation. We want confirmation in a letter from the Department of Justice to confirm this, because people's not sleeping. You know, and we all have personal reasons. I have a 94-year-old mother that lives 200 yards from the Strand Hotel. We've all got personal reasons. We need confirmation, and we need confirmation from the government, Donegal County Council, or whoever can give us confirmation that this will never be considered as an iPass centre, even if Mark Crossan sells it on. We just need confirmation.
Okay, thank you for that.
People sleep at night.
Catherine Dillon, representative of the residents and businesses in the Ballyliffin-Clonmany area. We have asked the owners for comment. We've got nothing back from them as of yet. A couple of you are asking what an iPass centre is. Well, you'd be more familiar with the direct provision phraseology. The iPass centres replaced direct provision. There came a point whereby the government made a decision to distribute international protection applicants throughout the country. So if you land in Dublin, say for an example, with or without a passport, by the way, if you land in Dublin and you say, I'm fleeing a country because I don't believe it to be safe, I would like protection in Ireland, you are sent to an iPass centre whilst your application is being processed. Now, if you are unsuccessful in your application, you might be asked to leave the country. But what we know is that the majority of those that are then asked to leave the country don't leave the country. And this is no agenda. I'm only stating facts here. That's what an iPass centre is, and that's sort of how the process works. So when we talk of iPass centres, it could be a family or individuals or men, wherever it is that are fleeing Sudan or wherever they might be fleeing. They land in Dublin and they say, we are seeking international protection, and they are then moved to iPass centres, international protection applicants centres. There you go. So that's what that is. I have to take a break. Back shortly.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €110 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Ready to order your 252 Kia? Then get to iMotors Letterkenny from Thursday, May 15th to Sunday, May 18th. Explore the exciting new Kia range with cutting-edge tech, bold design and unbeatable value. Donegal's #1 selling Kia brand and Donegal's #1 selling Kia electric brand. We're taking 252 orders now. Your perfect car, built your way. Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday 12 to 4. Don't miss it. iMotors Letterkenny.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Do you have a job vacancy that needs filled fast? Tried everything but still no luck? Let Highland Radio's Job Spot do the work for you. We'll share your vacancies with 70,000 daily listeners in Donegal, Derry and Tyrone every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during prime time. Plus your jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our Job Spots section. It's fast, cost effective and reaches the people you need. Contact our advertising team today on 07491 253 22 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
Right, just want to mention a bingo night in aid of Hughie's Corner. It takes place on Wednesday Eyes down at 8 p.m. The price is €12 per book, and there's a raffle on the night, and it's in the Carndonagh Community Centre. So you'd know Huey's Corner. They are the Child and Adolescent Therapeutic Centre. So if you like bingo and you like supporting great causes, get along to that. And speaking of such, there's 18 staff from Tata Consultancy Service. They're doing a sleep out on Friday night, the 9th of May. It's in aid of St. Columkill Hostel. They'll be sleeping out from 9 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. and then they're heading down for 4 a.m. to take part into Darkness into Light. So at the ATU. So if you want to support them in what they're doing, it's going to be a long night for them, but they're doing it to support St. Columkill's Hostel. Right now, something emerged over the weekend, and it's in the town park in Letterkenny. Kids throwing large stones from a height onto a on a pathway below. The concern is that it could have killed someone. These are big old stones, and it's not the first time. It's not isolated, because Sabina had this experience as well. Sabina, good morning to you. Hello, Sabina, are you there? No, I don't have you. I'll get back to you there in a moment. A caller says there are Section 5 applications for direct provision accommodation at a number of locations in the county, including Castlefin, Ballindrate and Letterkenny. These applications are for Transboil Limited, a Monaghan-based company. One is a change of use for the development under construction. As I say, a number of the applications, I read the list out last week, have been rejected. But Transboil, I thought their operational addresses in Dublin, but you probably know better. I'm concerned, Ballyliffin resident. I would like to know why Mark Crossan's application for an iPass centre in Ballyliffin was not considered, and it cannot be considered again by a different person. Well, the process is still ongoing, by the way. So unless it's been updated and I can't find that information. Why can none of these local councillors and or TDs tell the truth about these iPass centres? Well, they don't have the information in a lot of cases. They get the information at short notice, and it's for obvious reasons. Sabina, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, how are you?
Sorry about that. We got cut off. No, I was talking about someone posting at the weekend. They were in the town park in Letterkenny, and there were kids throwing stones down from a height onto a pathway, and concerned that someone's head could be taken off them. God knows if you were walking a pram or something. And the big old rocks, I see them here. Sabina, it wasn't just a once-off, though, because you were out and about on Thursday. Is that right?
Yeah, so last Thursday, actually, when I have an appointment with my daughter in St. Conal Hospital, my partner took my 2 kids, 5 years old, and my toddler on the pram for walk, because normally the kids love the park, so we spend lots of time in the park. And wherever they cross the footpath on very back park, someone just throw huge log of the, the wooden first, and then 2 huge stones, and the stones crashed on the footpath. So they're very lucky nothing happened, because my 2 kids was close of that.
And do they say anything, or what's the story?
No, they just run away, and one guy just go across of them and run up, just check who is that, but they couldn't just catch them. And he just saw 2 boys around 13, 14 years old with the gray uniforms. And straight on after that, we just go to guards and we just reported that, because that's very dangerous, in my opinion.
Do you get the feeling that they're throwing them at people that are walking there? Like what? How could we figure out what their motivation is? But is it a case?
It's hard to say. Yeah, yeah, sir. It's hard to say is that they try, catch the people. It's hard to say, in my opinion. But doesn't matter to me. That's still if they catch it, because especially now when it's nice weather, lots of people and kids going around the park. So that's still very dangerous to me, I'm
looking at the size of the stones here. The bottom line is if that hit anyone on the head, you're dead. Or if it was thrown into a pram or a pushchair. And I don't think adults, really from that raised view that these young people who it seems are responsible can actually see who is below them. They're just it's actually senseless what they're doing. I don't think they realise how dangerous this is.
Exactly. So even for adults, if they hit your head, you're just dead, especially for wee babies. and kids. That can be extremely dangerous,
Yeah, all right,
And
okay.
that should be something done with that. We go just straight on to the guards and we reported that. And then we ask maybe some advice how we can do any fence or anything to keep that area safe for kids so that's not happen again. So even teenage cannot cross that and shoot them stones again. So they say we have to contact with council and we're planning to do that as well,
All right, okay.
So
And,
maybe.
speaking publicly about these things helps as well, Sabina. I think you're covering all bases here because, maybe mums or dads need to have a chat if they, because maybe these young people don't actually realise the real dangerous consequences of it, because I would think in my heart they wouldn't be doing it if they did. Okay, Sabina, it just also makes you wonder too, every time you're walking past there, is there another boulder on its way down as well, which is kind of ruins the whole joy of the park.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, okay. Thanks very much, Sabina.
It's the holiday of a lifetime. Highland in the Sun 2025. This September 14th to the 21st, we go back to the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Gerada Hotel Saloon for 7 nights dinner, bed and breakfast and lots of great entertainment with some of your favourite acts in Irish country music. Don't delay and book today by contacting Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota. Built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
With over 1,000 TFI Local Link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI Local Link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
Ahead of the busy summer season, why not have your children's eyes checked at Louis Walsh Opticians in Letterkenny? Right now, when you buy one pair of children's glasses, you'll get a second pair free. Some terms and conditions apply. See the full range of glasses at Louis Walsh Opticians in the Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okie doke. So the weather forecast is going to be like this as soon as I open it. Dry and sunny with some cloud building in the afternoon. Temperatures 14 to 17 degrees. And I can see some of that cloud building, but it's moving through. And it's going to get even warmer towards the end of the week as well, which is really quite pleasant. Greg, could you get the owner of the Strand Hotel on the radio, please, to explain himself and his intentions to the community here in Ballybofane and Inishowen? It's the least road. We've made inquiries. It's up to each individual. We can't compel anyone to do anything, right? But what we can do is invite people on to have that conversation. Padraig wasn't long in speaking about iPass centres when it was going to his doorstep. Will he now talk about the rest of us? They're all one thing I'll say about Padraig McLaughlin, he's got in trouble nationally about talking about this issue for months on this programme. A long time ago, to be honest with you. I'm not a spokesperson for Padraig McLaughlin or other people we're going to be mentioning in a moment. I can only say that consistently, and to be honest with you, with quite a bit of backlash, Deputy McLaughlin has spoken about these places being imposed in certain areas, if the truth be told. If the hotel was suitable to house Ukrainians, why wouldn't it be for an iPass centre? I don't trust Donegal County Council or any government office. Ballyliff Clonmany needs a letter from Jim O'Callaghan, Minister for Justice, confirming the reasons why it's no longer under consideration and confirmation, and this is the critical bit, confirmation it won't be in the future. Whoever owns the Strand Hotel, sewerage is a major issue, overflowing into the sea, serious health and safety issues. But again, the argument could be made it was fine for Ukrainians, it was fine as their operating hotel, why wouldn't it be for an iPass centre? I'm not making that argument. I'm on about in terms of seeking planning, and I'm not sure it's actually the Department of Justice in I think it's the Department of Children Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth that are responsible for the iPass centres. So you might be barking up the wrong tree with Jim O'Callaghan there. It's a different department altogether. It's the Green guys' former department. They have responsibility. They've responsibility there. How can Porrick say he's being very clear on his stance? This is the first time he's opened his mouth on it. He's only jumping on now because of the growing public outrage. They've been all for it. Again, I will just say, the last time I'll say it is that I've spoken to Deputy McLaughlin on a number of occasions about in different parts of the county centres being placed in there. Greg, this is the government that we all voted for one way or another. We need the different people in charge. It's simple. It doesn't matter all the smart talk we do. We need a change of government. And there was a chance for that recently, of course. Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald said no community has a veto on who is moved into their neighbourhood. The double talk and mixed messages is bonkers from Sinn Féin. There are two standing points there. I can't dispute with that. I live in Clonmany and I don't want 150 men placed here. If the government stopped all these people coming into the country, this wouldn't be happening. Most are economic migrants, which the government themselves have stated. Greg, all these iPass centres are a quick way for landlords or property owners to get money at any expense. I know because I work in the public services and see it firsthand. It is disgraceful. Just before I read the rest of that message, it's remarkable that one individual and business colleagues of that one individual can receive €140 million. And there are people in this county that are now made for life off the back of this stuff. But anyway, how come the wealthy, affluent areas in Dublin were able to go to court and successfully win their cases that no iPass centres be in their areas? Clearly double standards, treating Donegal and Ireland the way they are. Another caller believes greed will win because money is all that matters. The hotels in Dublin have now realised that they've destroyed their businesses and want out of the system, and hence they're being thrown to Donegal. We can't house for defective block families who are far more important. Will the owner of this hotel offer the accommodation to them? At the same rates, presumably. Have to be careful. Greg Hughes, go watch Declan Meehan's speech. First time he stepped down as a councillor. Listen, I read your opinions. I'm not the... it's not for me to decide if Declan Meehan says something right or wrong, or it's not for me to decide if Kim McMenamin says something right or is wrong. That's not... I'm not the guards or the speech police or whatever. We just platform people's views and opinions. To be honest with you, I think people have... And I've always maintained that people are entitled to speak. You might not like what they have to say, but they're entitled to speak. And there are going to be different points of views out there, but we're not the police of that. And we've mentioned people's dissatisfaction with Councillor Meehan's comments a few times. But it's not for me to call for anyone to be elevated to the position of councillor or to be relegated from it. But I appreciate your comments coming in relation to that. Caller says, I'm sorry, but it's not speed that is the main factor in road traffic collisions. It is negligence by the driver not concentrating, and speed cameras are only there to make money. Getting caught for speeding, you get 3 punishment fine. You get 3 points and a fine, an increased insurance. 1 should be enough. Okay, thank you very much indeed. I understand what Leo is saying. This is on road safety as well. And I know the dangers of phones, speeding, differing, etc. But when you think we're advocating for the government to fine us or remove our right to drive, etc., there has to be a better way. Another way, we all slip up, do stupid things and could end up unable to drive. Education is key. Garda on the road. Maybe sit through a class on talks with a car crash victim or their families. Not they're unbearable, sad cases, and we know that works. And this is the problem I have with this. Not problem, but just as a motorist or as a resident, is that too much government power is never good in any country, I don't think. And you could find yourself just going about your daily business, make one error, and being off the road. So I get where that caller is coming from. Cars diffing and cars acting dangerously on the roads. It's a huge problem in our local area. We have elderly that have stopped walking. I, as a mother, had to put my pushchair in the hedge. Guards have been have been called many a time. The guards are fully aware of the sheds that these young people are working out of. These sheds need hounding. All right, okay. Busy show, covering an awful lot. Thank you so much for all of your contributions, and thanks for listening. We'll be back doing it all again tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock. But for me, Greg Hughes, Caroline Orr, who researched and produced, and Shannon Wilkin working on